Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to GrowedUpGeek Gaming, your home for narrative and roleplay focused Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition live play campaigns. It is Tuesday night, and as you notice, I'm not off on my own little box all by myself because I'm down here being a man of the people tonight. I get to play with our brand new campaign. Our good friend Sam, who's offered to take the weight off of me for a little while and let me see what it's like to live on the other side of the tracks. I'll do quick channel business, then we'll throw it to Sam and we will get going. I'm Manny at GrowedUpGeek on your social media, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. You like what we do here, give us a like, follow, subscribe, high five, fist bump, consent given, pat on the butt, anything to show your support. We are live here now 3 times a week, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. for Sam's campaign, What Lurks Below, Wednesday night for our limited series, Dynasty of Dragons, and then our new campaign that just started, episode 2 this week, Legacy of Blood, Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Plug the channel and all the shows. Okay, that's going to be it for me. We will throw it to our amazing guest DM who is so kind to come over and deal with these people that I deal with every week. So, Sam, take it away.
Thank you, and I'm more than happy to be doing this. I'm more than happy to give you the chance to be a player as well for once. No longer the freedom from the terminal DM disease, I suppose. Pardon me. So yes, as mentioned, I'm Sam or Caldron, and this will be a slightly modified but largely loyal run-through of Chapter 8 of the Ghost of Saltmarsh, The Styes. Slightly modified because I'm putting my own twist on some things, you know. I lean into the whole Lovecraftian stuff if you've seen any of my prior one-shots on this channel, so bit of a hint to what's to come. But of course, what I'm doing is nothing without the wonderful players who are taking a break from their regular campaign to delve into the madness of my own mind, which is, well, let's say probably not the brightest idea. There's some dark demons lurking in there that I exercise through D&D, so let's see what they run into.
We're cheaper than therapy.
Exactly. It's the better way to do it. It's the cheaper way, which as a student, I love. But yes, so why don't we drop down to my players below me with a quick introduction of your character, and then when we get going, we'll do a kind of character scene to fully establish the personality. Starting with Landon, if you'd like to go first.
Awesome. So I'm Landon. I am playing a character called Sidrius Caelum. He's really the first D&D character made because I only started when Tasha's came out. Was basically when I started D&D. Today he's partnered up with his Steel Defender Beowulf. I decided on the name because that's the name of my roll-off Saint Bernard. He just had knee surgery, got a metal plate stuck in his leg. Feel bad for him. Yeah, so he got the metal plate, so I was like, I'm gonna make my Steel Defender Beowulf. I have 2 of them, so I usually don't like to play favorites this way, but Sidrus, he's a an artificer. I guess you could tell by the Steel Defender bit, but he can usually be seen at his at a forge, trying to make new equipment and reinforce his Steel Defender. It may be a construct, but it is like his life's work. That's something that he's like it is his most valuable thing. He doesn't just see it as a possession, it's like his family. He's mostly a dwarf. I say mostly because he's like a half dwarf. That's how I originally made him because I'm short and roll off. And so he's usually at the forge, and when he's in combat, he wields a big maul alongside his Steel Defender. So, and was there anything else you wanted me to say about Sid, or?
That's all good. Anything else that personalities, appearance-wise, we can do when we jump into the character scene. So that's wonderful. All right, we'll jump across now next to the usual DM of this wonderful channel. Manny, do you want to go ahead?
Hi. I tonight am playing Arvyn Anciel. an Eladrin Oath of Ancients paladin kind of going through something of an existential crisis where in his like advanced age he worries that in the end entropy and evil are just too strong to beat out all of the good and effort that people put in to save existence.
All right then, lovely. And we'll jump now across to Tenta, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Tenta. I'm playing Rasma du Erdah. He is the High Priest of the Lunis, which is a order I made up because that's fun. And they're moon worshippers that are healers, but also rogues. They don't ever take money to do jobs. They act, out of kindness, righteousness. And Rasma du Erdah is the leader of the order. He is a Twilight cleric and a lizard folk. He's small for a lizard folk, but he's also much faster and comfortable in the shadows, and quite a healer. So he accepts being here. So here he is.
Nice. And of the last but no means least of our players, Nick, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, my name's Nick. I'm going to be playing Dirk Griswold, Leonin Astral Monk, and has fallen into the life of mercenary for hire, fist for hire, so that he can feed all of his stray cats.
Nice. And last and least in comparison of this little group, there is me. As I mentioned, I'm Sam or Caldrin. I'll be the DM for this little adventure, running you through the madness inspired from my own dark mind that has infested Chapter 8 of the skies of Ghost of Saltmarsh. We don't know if it'll properly work, but it should do. If you do hear music in this game, it's a playlist collected from Kevin MacLeod's music, who can be found at incompetech.com. And I'm sure if you've most likely have heard something of his. He has a large range of work, which is free to use so long as full attribution is given. And the rest of the music of this playlist, again, if it works and you hear it, is permission has been given by Alex Rowe to make use of his original compositions. Alex Rowe makes original compositions based on games, mainly the Soulsborne series of games from Software. So if any avid players of those games, you might recognize kind of some motifs that are utilized. His work can be found at alexrowe.bandcamp.com, Alex Rowe being ALEXROE, or Twitter at Rotaka, ROETAKA, or Alex Rowe on YouTube, Spotify, whatever. I highly recommend both these people for music for any tabletop game, to be honest with you, because I make use of their stuff a lot and I really do love it. It's just in principle anyway. But yes, with that little bit, I'll try playing music. Hope it comes through on the stream. Who knows if it actually will. But with that, we'll jump into what lurks below, my interpretation of the styles. So before we jump into the character moments, just a brief kind of summary of your time before this point. You all know each other, and you're all friends or friendly with one another. To what degree of intimacy there is between you is up to yourselves, obviously. But you are all familiar, and you have all worked together at some point, to the point you've earned coin and renown as individuals of good standing, wherein if you're hired to do a job, you will do the job and to a good quality. It's known if you hire you lot, individually or as a group, you're making a good investment of your coin. During these years of action, you've traveled all over the world and you've grown in strength, to the strength you are now, quite prominent individuals, although not well known. Your names are by no means whispered in the halls of power or anything like that. More, those who know of you might speak fondly of you or speak fondly of your power, but by no means are you famous or the like. And indeed, more often than not, each of you go your own little ways, finding your own little life and experiencing your own journeys, only occasionally coming back together when called upon or when others call upon you. We open first with Sidrius and Beowulf. You're in your smithy in the city of Harborsmouth. This is a rather prosperous port city. A lot of trade comes in and out, and you find a lot of work, both shoeing of horses, weaponry, even nails and such utilized in the crafting of great galleons used for mercantile companies. Why don't you give a brief description of yourself as you are hard at work on this day?
Yeah, so obviously, it being a forge, there's a huge fire going on as, he's got his hammer banging away at a blade, whatever work he's up to for whatever commission he's doing. He's got his goggles on. Usually when he's out and about, his goggles are up on his head, but seeing as he's working, he's got them down, wielding them. Beowulf is laying, just kind of like panting. He's a mechanical dog, so he doesn't need to. But it was one of the things that was endearing to Sid as he progressed Beowulf. So Beowulf is panting and just kind of being kind of lazy, as he there's almost an air that Beowulf's waiting for adventure, and Sid, while he loves being in the forge, he also longs for adventure. He enjoys his work, but there's nothing he likes more than to go experience new things. So
makes sense. As you're working away then, you're so invested in your work that you don't notice for a moment as Beowulf perks up ever so slightly, labouring to his feet and moving towards the entranceway to your shop. It isn't until you hear a throat being cleared from behind you that your attention is actually pulled away. Setting aside your work once it's safe to do so, you turn and you are greeted with a familiar figure. There is a relatively small, but though still taller than you, completely grey-furred tabaxi stood before you. Basically dressed in almost like stereotypical pirate attire, shirt which is half opened, cutlass at his side, overcoat, even a tricorn hat on his head, which as he ducks in and bows to pat Beowulf on the head, he takes off. And you notice, familiar to you, as he removes it with his left hand, he's missing his little finger and his ring finger, which you know as having been cut off for smuggling in the past. And he brings the hat down to his chest as he gives a slight bow towards you. Still hard at work, I see, Sidrius. Good. You know this to be, well, you don't know his actual name. And indeed, anytime you've asked, he's told you a whole slew of different names. You know him, however, as Cap, or Captain, since that seems to be the most common form of address for him. And this is someone who has hired you, worked with you, and even served as an intermediary in hiring you in the past. And his appearance typically means trouble or adventure, as he sits now into your shop.
So, seeing or recognizing him, a smirk will come to Sidrius's face. Obviously, even if it brings some difficult times, it's always a memorable time when the captain pays him a visit. So he looks at him and with a smirk, and he says, "Captain, I assume you got some work for me and Bayo over here."
For you, your metal companion, and your companions of the more biological form. Let's just say a contract has come up, which I think you and your fellows would be most suited to. And he reaches into his overcoat and pulls out an ornate letter, which he passes across. Opening it, you find It doesn't give much information at all. Instead, it's an ornate, almost like dinner invitation. So fine filigree, calligraphied handwriting, and it basically says, "Present yourself to Ildrick Manor in a fortnight's time, final day of the week, by the 7th hour."
A mystery. I like it.
You actually recognize the name of Ildrick, although recent interactions were never with such finity, shall we say. You recognize Ildrick from one Lycian Ildrick, who was, to your recollection at least, just a regular sailor merchant when he hired you for matters of protection on the seas. You did not in seeing his name with such finery is a bit of surprise, let alone the mention of a manor.
I suppose old Eldrick has made quite a name for himself. Whatever he has, I would be pleased to go meet with him.
Good. That is good. I would hate you had to have refused. It would put good bad standing on my name, you understand? I guaranteed you and your fellows. So, at least I'm not going to embarrass myself.
You know me. I'm always looking for a reason to get out there in the field.
And
The forge is
I like you.
The forge is a consolation, but gotta stretch out sometimes. Me and Bayo, we get a little tired of just lazing about all day. As Beowulf's tail, it starts kind of like wagging. He's still not standing up, but it's just kind of wagging as he looks at us.
Yep. So the captain leans down and kind of pats Beowulf on the head once or twice and looks at you with a very fond grin. Well, I would love to stay and chat with you, my friend, but you fellows, your little group, you do spread up so very much. I have to go try and track them down before the deadline comes. But, well, I'll see you again in 2 weeks, eh? And he brings his kind of hat to his chest and goes into a very low and flourishing bow before turns and just leaves. Make me just a quick perception check, if you could.
Yes. Real quick. I actually should have looked at where all this stuff is before. I guess it only rolled once. I got a 5. Not a very good start.
Okay. It isn't until like, let's say 2 hours later.
Oh, that was actually, I'm so sorry. That was actually made earlier. I wonder why it didn't roll. 1 second. I just refreshed Foundry. I think maybe it just got out of sync a little bit.
Yeah. No worries.
Soon as it loads. That's the only bad thing about it. Sometimes it takes a second to load.
I get that. I can make the roll for you if you want while we're waiting.
Okay.
Instead of waiting. Yep. Give me a second. Sidrius. Perception. Okay, 7. Not much better. It has still been 2 hours later that you notice as you go to grab a tool, in kind of stereotypical Tabaxi manner, something has been swiped from you. And you immediately recall all the stories of Tabaxis who might stay in a tavern for a bit and then disappear the next day and gone are coins or jewelry or whatever. And yeah. In a bit of an anger, you might go storming out and you find it kind of just lay on kind of the doormat, if you will, of your shop. Just a very kind of poking gesture being done by the captain.
He just will take a deep breath as he like calms himself. That damn Baxi. I'll watch this next time.
Yep. So kind of to use the kind of movie analogy, we come from that as you're swearing that, camera kind of zooms out and pans out across the sea for a little bit before coming to rest on a small island, atop which there is a lighthouse, which, while the light might still burn, is no longer populated by the caretaker of such, but instead a different group of people, as we come across instead to Rasma. Say that right, Raz?
Yeah,
Rasma. There we go. Yep. So, Rasma, on this day, you're going through your regular day, I suppose, with the Lunis and the Lunis Temple itself. Whatever training that might be, whatever prayers that might be, it's by and large just a regular day, if a slightly overcast day. So, as we're getting towards evening, what do you find yourself doing, and why don't you give a quick description of yourself?
All right. So, Rasma is the high priest of the Lunis order around him right now. So he would probably be, at this point, finishing up either tumbling lessons or sword lessons, maybe leading like a long ritualistic prayer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he enjoys sweeping, so that's what he's probably doing. That's what he usually is doing when there's nothing else to be done after such things.
Okay. And appearance-wise, what does Rasma look like?
Rasma is 5'5". He is around 135 pounds. He's got green skin, and his eyes are constantly glowing bright light blue because of his connection with the moon and twilight. And he's always got on him his crystal short sword and his candle. And yeah.
Then, as you're sweeping after leading a prayer of some sort, you see a young acolyte, a recent member joining this order of yours, kind of come, not running, but hurrying up towards you, and stops like a polite distance away and waits for you to recognize him.
Without looking up, you may speak, acolyte.
Of course, sir. There is someone here to meet you. Tabaxi. He just turned up recently, within the last hour. He said you might know of him. He's down by the docks. And you can see this kind of acolyte is just unsure, basically. You don't really get many visitors. So for someone just to turn up is that's unusual.
All right. Most of my face is covered by just layers and layers of different robes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of narrows his eyes and keep an eye on the treasury. I shall return. And he shoulders the acolyte out of the way and kind of.
You see a slight confused look from the acolyte, but they do go to do as you said and keep an eye on the treasury. And as you make your way down to the small docks for this lighthouse, you first see it looks like a small, for lack of a better word, kind of barge type ship. Certainly nothing that should be going too quickly without any arcane assistance. And kind of lounging on the let's say on one of the posts for the dock, kind of crouched cat-like instead, tail kind of whipping behind him. You see the same form of the captain, again, who is familiar to you, just as they were to Sidrius, and eyes like glowing yellow in the faint light, kind of snap wide open as soon as you come down, and you can hear a faint purr on the air.
I thought it might be you. What can I do for you, Captain?
Did your young acolyte not say that it was a dashing tabaxi? That should give it away, surely. But the moment, and he pushes himself up into standing and into a very low bow, and again you see the hat against his chest and the missing fingers. Although as he goes into the bow for you, you do see a kind of necklace around his neck, which you recognize as like finger bones on the necklace, and kind of put two and two together as he jumps down. I am here, my friend, to one, bring you supplies. And he gestures towards the ship, and where you can see a few like sacks are stored. And two, to bring you a job offer.
Job.
And he reaches into his coat and pulls out a letter for yourself.
I'll reach out and take it, just like the tips of my claws.
Opening it, you find the same invitation that Sidrius got, only this one does actually signify a date, not just in a fortnight. Something I forgot to mention, by the way, is Ildrick's Manor is in Harboursmouth. So Sidrius, you don't really have to travel much. But for those that do need to travel, a date has actually been placed.
Nice.
And you similarly recognize the name Ildrick, although for you, Rasma, you do recognize it a bit more, mainly because Ildrick has repaid friendship in the past by sending some supplies to the lighthouse and even jobs your way, or recommending your religious services to those that might need it.
Very cool. I'll read it over and kind of slip it into my robes.
I do hope, my friend, you can make it in time. I would hate to be made a liar of, you understand? I said that you would be there.
I will make it. I will repay his kindness.
Lovely. Simply lovely, my friend. And he goes out to kind of clasp your hand in a handshake.
Without putting his hand out, he puts his hand to his face and just fades from view. And you can see little feet marks across the water. He's
Maybe God, that one is no fun. No fun. You hear that kind of as you go, as this tabaxi kind of huffs loudly in displeasure and then starts to unload. What you do see is kind of like just some basic supplies that the order might need.
You can't hear it, but I'm chuckling a little bit to myself.
Yep. And similarly, we see the camera kind of zoom out, if you will, and we jump across to a give me a second. Sorry, I forgot to put up my notes for this one. Oh, well, that one. There we are. So we put out and we short journey back onto land to a small hovel. There we see a two Leonin. One is sat in meditation. The other is kind of busying himself, just odd chores, keeping an eye. Dirk, would you like to describe what you look like and what you're doing?
So Dirk is a monk of the astral self, so he spends a good portion of his day just in meditation, astral projecting. Also a stage, so he has a expansive library of just like scrolls and books and torn out pages of manuscripts and books that he finds interesting, that could help him ultimately travel to the astral plane or become one with his astral self.
Yep.
And, he is a Leonin, so like darker fur, like kind of like Scar from Lion King on two legs.
Mm-hmm. I think you've been in meditation now for the better part of the day, wholly focused on what you're doing and reaching out into your astral self. You had a faint awareness of someone coming and going, but well, you have a ward for a reason. You know that Sancho will deal with whoever it is and leave you to your meditations unless it is of extreme importance. As such, as the sun begins to dip down below the horizon, you feel your astral self kind of thud back onto the material plane and back into your physical form, and you slowly awaken to notice Sancho just kind of shuffling about, almost impatiently waiting you to wake up.
Oh, it's kind of yawn and rub my eyes. Why have you woken me, Sancho?
Do forgive me for this, but a particularly vexing individual came by a little bit ago. He left a message for you. And Sancho will go over to a table and, unlike the others where they got letters, removes a scroll from where it's been sat and hands the scroll over to you. As you unravel it in very chicken scratch handwriting, essentially. It's something you have to turn and twist to try and figure out what's being said. But you get a message scored in the hand of what you recognize as the captain. And basically it lays out, "My dear friend, I am calling in a debt of favor from you. I am not exactly unaware of your proclivities that others in your little group might frown upon. As such, I am using this as insurance to ensure your appearance at," and then the whole address, the date and time. "There is a job being presented for you that I think you would be most suited towards. Kind regards, hugs and kisses, love you lots, the captain." And then, like, 2 lines of X's and O's, just in the most obnoxious way possible, if handwriting could be obnoxious.
Crumple the note up. The captain is always vexing. I guess my meditations will have to wait. I was so close.
I am sorry, sir, for disrupting you in that case, but he did say it was urgent. Though he did not stick around, I am afraid. I did try to detain him, but... Sancho kind of turns and you can see just like a paint splatter against his fur.
Clean yourself up, Sancho. It's time to keep these cats in catnip.
Of course. Of course, sir. And Sancho kind of dips into a slight bow and hurries to go and attend to your order, essentially. Is there anything else that you would do?
I guess just gather what little belongings I need and start heading towards the meeting place.
Okay. Again, kind of camera zooms out a bit more. Slight fade, time skip, etc. And we zoom back in, not onto the material plane, but into a lush and dense forest, primordial almost in nature, untouched by most mortal hands, as we drop onto the Feywild and towards you, Arvyn. Right, would you give a brief description and also what are you doing at this present moment?
So, Arvyn, deep in contemplation about his own existence as well as just existence as a whole, he's going to be laying on top of, like a very large Feywild mushroom, just kind of sprawled out like Snoopy on his doghouse, just kind of restlessly kicking his feet.
Nice.
Very ornate, once polished plate armor. It's got like a nice kind of classic patina on it, almost like a greenish tint to it. An Eladrin, he hasn't really had a season in a while. If anything, it would be winter, but doesn't want the people to constantly ask what's wrong. So just spends most of his time just kind of looking like a regular elf, just sitting there staring at the sky. Nothing particular aside from that.
As you're as you're just letting the time pass by, the slightly pinkish orange hues of the sky that of like a persistent sunset in this area of the Feywild, you start to hear slight pipes ringing out from the forest around you, growing louder and louder as they get closer and closer. No true melody to them, just random notes that actually sound good. They don't really sound. There's no actual song, but it's actually capturing the kind of melody, some form of melody, which makes no sense whatsoever. But as they draw closer and closer, you start to see coming out from the forest a mad-eyed satyr. His eyes just like an orange red that seem to gleam and burn like smouldering coals. Just a shock of red hair that's an entire mess tangled with twigs and leaves and all sorts. Two large like ram horns from his forehead. Bare chest, shaggy goat legs, everything just kind of come almost dancing in movement towards you, and definitely towards you specifically, and kicks into a slight jig for a moment as the music comes to an end and into a very low bow.
Just gonna sit up.
Mm-hmm.
This, I get it. This song and dance that you're so ever fond of. Don't you feel like it's beneath us?
My friend, you insult me. Beneath me, my music beneath. You insult an artist, sir. You see the satyr immediately jolt upright, and very almost clownish movements come from this individual, just jarring and jolting, almost like bones cracking, although almost like puppeteered. You don't know this individual beyond kind of they live in the same area of you, but you know this to be someone who is more powerful than they seem at first, and this is more of a guise they might assume at times. But no matter in that regard. There are other things to consult of and to speak of and to sing about and more, my friend. And this very kind of shark, like grin spreads on his face, wider than it should possibly be. A very Cheshire cat grin. A letter has come for you, my drab and drower friend, and perhaps that is good, you know? You bring the mood down to the forest being here. And he reaches into nothingness and pulls out a letter and kind of just tosses it towards you.
It's obvious the letters from the prime material plane. It's not Fey.
Oh yeah, no, it's obvious. There's almost like leadenness, if you will, to this parchment. It's so alien, but in a way that's so very unnatural that you get the idea that this Fey or satyr or whatever it is kind of exacerbating the effect to make it more pronounced.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna read it.
It's a similar letter, just asking for your presence at the Ildrek Manor in Harborsmouth on this date, this time, etc. etc. Your fellows also been approached. Kind regards and loving fondness, the captain. P.S. Please do turn up. I would hate to be made a liar of.
Well, it'd be a shame to make a liar of the captain. Well,
oh, indeed. Although I would actually, no, I'm torn. Do I want you to go and get rid of your drow self, or do I want you to stay and give me that individual's soul? I get rid of you.
I'm fine. This place is too depressing. Just the greatness and the potential beauty of this world, and just the wasted on the prime material with one crisis or another at one lord's manor or another, celebrating some minor trivial event in their otherwise short lives.
As you're going on, you see this like heavy sigh from the satyr, and he just kind of walks over to you and just kind of thuds you on the forehead. And between one word and the next, you feel yourself kind of shuddering back into the material plane with a just, would you stop going on? You're bringing the mood down. As this individual kind of spins around, suddenly back, music picking up, and the last sight you see is almost like an autumn cloak falling from their shoulders. And the horns growing much larger and grander for a moment, almost confirming a suspicion that they were probably more Fey Lord than Satyr. And you find yourself just in the middle of the forest, by the way. Just no idea where you are.
But obviously not the Feywild anymore, right? Just a regular
Obviously
forest.
not the Feywild.
Okay.
Just regular forest.
What a disappointment, this plane of existence. Oh well, off I go, and
Yep.
yeah, I'm
You
just gonna...
journey off, and you do eventually find a road, and yeah. Takes some time, but you get there eventually.
I live for a while, I'm not in a hurry.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Then yeah, as the days passed and those 2 weeks kind of tick by, each of you being given these letters at different points of time, obviously. We get to that date that was mentioned, and you all find yourself reassembling as a group once more, probably in the smithy, actually, since that would be a place that you all know relatively well. And just one after another, Sidrius, you, around midday, put aside your work as these three start to kind of flock
Yeah.
in.
You know, Sid is always pretty excited for adventures. Even though the rest of the people may not necessarily enjoy their time with Sid has the time of his life. So he has the full spread. He's got like little snacks. Okay. He's got like, well, he had a little snack bar that Beowulf faded off. No, Sid is pretty excited for when they're going to get there, and he has everything set up for them to get there. As they walk in, each time Beowulf will go up, sniff them, and then like sit on their feet.
Yeah.
Like all
first
like
one-
300 pounds of him.
Yep. The first one to turn up would be Dirk. You would get there first, about midday-ish.
Ah, Sid, very good to see you.
Yes, it's always a great time when we get together. We get up to some very fun times on these adventures.
I'm glad of your enthusiasm. You have to be enthused for the both of us. I was on a very intriguing astral projection when I was interrupted.
Oh, you can do that later. What's more exciting than seeing some, well, I guess the astral plane is pretty new for most people.
Did you
But-
bring any snacks?
Yes, over here I have some snacks. Beowulf tried to get them. I told him not to. But he just kind of like hands you. It'll be like some dry jerky and things to like really offer sustenance for like a trip.
Nice.
Yep. Yep.
And there's wine. There's wine and ale as well too.
You do get a few customers coming up and not really realizing that you're closed, but I imagine between Dirk and Beowulf, they're quickly shown off as you two spend the next hour or so before a rather drab Eladrin comes wandering in. Almost for you, Arvyn, it's very much you walked out of the forest and there was a city, and then into the city and there's the smithy. It was not much on the road, but more through nature, your journey.
Just absolute like straight line once I realize and I get my bearings as to where I am, like right to the smithy, like barely getting out of people's way, not making eye contact. Just push the door right open, actually genuinely excited for Beowulf. Loving the big dog, loving him, shining him up. You can hear like the metal from my gauntlets like rubbing up against the metal.
I was going to say,
of
there's
him.
a very kind of scratching, squeaking sound as just metal against metal for a little bit.
There's danger for a spark.
Yep.
We're just petting him. All his metal's like clanging around. He's jumping up and down. I'm in plate mail. It's like two cars crashing into each other.
It's a large ruckus.
Give a polite bow to Dirk in reverence of their constant spiritual journey, and then walk in. Sid, I hate this plane. You know that. But seeing you and your exuberance for helping to save it whenever we do always warms my heart, despite... And he just kind of gestures vaguely about this place. Thank you for having us.
So since it's been like an hour or two since Dirk got there, Sid is kind of drank a little bit. So after by the time you finish with Beowulf and you start talking, Sid's gonna be like, "Oh, you can visit the plane and get some ale while you're here, or wine, whichever one's your fancy. Just take a drink. I got snacks and Dirk is here. But Dirk, where'd you go?"
Imagine Dirk's right there, by the way.
Yeah, he's
But
probably
you've
like
got-
right next to
I'm just right behind you.
Well,
Right here.
we're just waiting on Rasma now. I'd say he'll be getting here pretty soon. Let's do a toast. Let's drink it up. He's just gonna swing it down. He's got a big beard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a typical dwarf, big beard,
Yeah.
but off the big beard. Yep. Then yeah, you have about an hour or so catching up between the three of you before Rasma. You said before you're kind of walking on the water, yeah? In that case, you walk literally over the water, up onto the port, and into the smithy. You come from the exact opposite direction, basically, as the Eladrin did.
Yeah. All right, I'll just kind of appear in the room as I walk in. And, hello, gentlemen.
As usual, Beowulf goes up to greet you. At this point, Sid has had a lot to drink. It's like, Rasma, ale, wine, snacks, have fun. And he's just gonna kind of like nod away.
Rasma's gonna walk over to the dwarf, wake up, and pinch him, and a little bit of energy is gonna go down his fingers and kind of zip him awake a little bit.
He's gonna pop back up. He's like, I missed that. That's been a great tool when I go on these splurges. How's your trip here been?
Was peaceful. And he's
Very
gonna
good.
start heading over to the snacks. Everyone knows he doesn't drink, but he's definitely a snacker. He's got his robe down. Yes,
Yep.
tell me things. Yes.
Whatever Rasma's favorite like meat-based snack is, there's a little plate of it.
Yeah, I imagine Sidrius spent all morning getting everything set up.
Yeah,
no work was done,
no.
it's just set, yep.
ever
That kind of
since-
panic before you have a party, making sure you've got everything, checklist, the whole sort.
Yeah, ever since Sid got that letter and he knew everyone would be meeting up here, it's been nonstop on his mind.
Makes sense. You would all know, by the way, it's the sixth bell of the afternoon had just gone, so you've got about half an hour, shall we say, to get to the manor, which, as I said, is in this city, so you've not got too far to go.
I'll go ahead and offer my hand to Sid. We should leave.
He kind of like woozily gets up. He's like, after a little walking, that'll work itself out. Let's head on over there. And he kind of like starts stumbling a little bit, but still walking.
All right. Rasma pulls a candle out of his pocket and clicks his fingers on it, and it lights up.
Yep.
He'll lead the way to the tower,
Okay.
or wherever.
So-
it is.
Yeah, it's you're kind of at the docks of the city, and you're heading more towards kind of the centre bit. Where most industry is and administration is handled in the city. And it's not too long a walk. It's about 25 minutes or so, really. So you're just edging to be in time as the four of you approach the gates of what you're directed towards as Ildrick Manor. Now, as I mentioned, you've all dealt with Ildrick. Specifically, it was, double check the name, Lycian Ildrick. You've all dealt with him in the past, and he was basically a humble merchant when you knew him last. Although you, Dirk, were aware of his more unlawful dealings, shall we say, smuggling and information trade and the like. The rest of you knew him just as a simple merchant, however, and as I said, he hired you for like protection detail sometimes on some of his ships, to look over some cargo, warehouses, things like that. You know, nothing that screamed opulence or that he was rich by any means, and he certainly never dressed as such. Yet this manor that you come to, while understated in appearance compared to those around it, is clearly large, with large grounds, well kept, and very pricey. And it doesn't quite mesh with the image you all have in your head, as on approach, the gates swing open for you and kind of give you full access, almost without a second delay, letting you journey up the gravel walkway up towards these two giant oaken doors, which similarly swing open without a second's hesitation. As the four of you step in and you enter into the foyer, you're greeted by the man who wrote the letter, one Lycian Ildrick, and it almost in complete stark contrast to his surroundings and to his home. He's dressed very simply. He looks just like a regular dock worker, by all accounts. Shirt sleeves rolled up, showing slight scars along his arms and heavy calluses on the hands. It's just a simple shirt, a simple pair of boots and trousers, and more made for your heavy wear rather than finery. But he greets you all with a wide smile and kind of hands open in like almost a welcoming hug, if you will. Almost like he's greeting your very appearance and presence in just sheer, almost gratitude is the expression you get from him. My friends, it has been far too long since I last saw you. Welcome to my home.
This is quite the upgrade. I'll start.
Not really. My business when I got it was very simple, and I have never overcome my roots, I suppose, nor would I want to, despite that which I now surround myself with. Ildrick, by the way, is a very tall, human-looking individual, clean-shaven, slicked back, dark hair, kept short, grey eyes, dark grey eyes, and just the whole time you've known him, just like a almost permanent grin of some sort on his face, whether it be warm and welcoming or more sinister grin or scheming or whatever, he's always grinning. I am pleased that our mutual acquaintance did not lie to me in him being able to track you down. And there is grave business I must discuss with you all, if you will follow me into my study. And you kind of gesture off to one side.
I'll start walking through. Put my candle out.
Arvyn's gonna follow, like touching things, like you would to be an asshole, like at somebody's like nicest house, just like touching everything, like on my way, like through the house.
There's no reaction from Lycian at all. He's just chuckled. You just hear him chuckling slightly. As you go by, though, Dirk, you catch Lycian's eye for a second, and there's the geniality of him kind of just falls away for one moment, and he's just frowning at you before the smile's back.
Kind of give him a little bit of a low growl as I walk past him, just like a bit of an eyebrow.
He makes no mention also, by the way, of Beowulf. He's just like greeting everything with a smile.
Yeah, Beowulf, generally, anytime he sees someone he recognizes, he will definitely go up to them, sniff them, and usually will sit on their feet. Speaking from personal experience here.
In this case, when Beowulf has previously met Lycian, he's done that every time. This time, despite the welcoming air on display, he goes to approach, and you watch as he kind of stops and whimpers. Because I imagine that would have been programmed into him as like a warning signal. And then backs away, head bowed in almost like just submission.
Sid won't say anything. I think the party, having adventured together quite a while, would kind of know how Beowulf would act and stuff. So I don't think Sid would necessarily have to tell the party that maybe something seems off there. And Sid is kind of drunk, so even though he's, he's there, he's not going to go out of his way to say things if he doesn't need to.
Makes sense. Yeah, you all catch this odd happening, shall we say?
Something to speak about when we get to our private chambers.
Pretty much. As you all wander through, the house is similarly, it's rich, but it's understated. It's not opulent in the extreme or anything like that. It's not gaudy. It's finely decorated, but minimally so, if that makes sense. This is someone who's rich, but doesn't show it, or doesn't flaunt it, I should say. As you all enter into the study, you're greeted by a very tall, very almost willowy thin woman. Similarly dark hair as Lycian, pulled back into a tight bun, dressed in similar clothing as him, but more cut for her body than Lycian's broader form. You all do know this individual as well, though you've not had many interactions with her. This is Beatrix Ildrick, his wife, and the main reason you've not had much interaction with her comes clear once more as she goes into a curtsy, and you all glance on her neck, a very vicious scar that goes across it, that you're all aware, it's the reason why she doesn't speak, is to your assumption she can't. Although she's never treated you harshly or anything like that, and similarly has a very warm smile on her face, though Beowulf does the exact same thing, goes to approach and backs away. But she nevertheless is welcoming and warm, and just for you all to take a seat, and if you do, goes out to start pouring tea for you all, playing the consummate host. Lycian follows in after, shuts the door behind him, and goes and takes a seat on the other side of the desk where you all sat, and kind of steeples his fingers together and leans forward, looking intently at you all as the smile drops away. I thank you all for coming. It is most appreciated.
So, I must ask, what made you bring us here? Do you have a task for us to do?
Yes, although I'm afraid that I do not have many details as the exact particulars. Indeed, this is what I hope you all to find out for me. Though, I will say, this is a matter in which if you wish to refuse, I would prefer you do so. For it deals with family. Beatrix's family, to be precise. And he kind of gestures to his wife over his shoulder. She comes to stand behind him, her hands on his shoulders. And you can kind of see, it's a very comforting gesture, and he kind of takes strength from it, sitting up a bit taller. We received recently a letter from my sister-in-law. My brother-in-law has been and was sentenced to death by hanging. There was little trial, little investigation. Indeed, when one is caught in his situation, I suppose there would not need to be much of one. Nevertheless, it is my wife's view, my sister-in-law's view, that he would not have committed these crimes. I wish you, as unknown individuals, to investigate. By all accounts, John is not one to commit these atrocities. But, well, people can act contrary to their nature. As he says that, you see Beatrix's fingers kind of tighten, and he reaches up and pats, and I know. As much as it is not wished to be believed by my wife that these horrendous crimes were committed by John, nor does Eleanor, my sister-in-law, believe it to be the case. The Lord certainly did. Now I turn to you to investigate. You are unknown, but trained, reliable, and strong. And I imagine if there is something going on, you will be able to uncover it for me.
Has the sentence been carried out?
Oh, sorry.
Has the sentence been carried out?
Let me just drop that bit.
Hmm?
He gives a solemn nod. He was sentenced, and within a few days, it takes time, you understand, for the letter to arrive. I was planning to reach out through my lawyers and such to intercede on his behalf, but before I could, we received a second letter, dated on 3 days later. He had been hung by the neck that evening.
I am sorry. That is unfortunate.
John was never the industrious sort. He and I clashed on many views, but he was family. And he was a fool, but a good one. A kind fool. To commit the acts that he was meant to commit, I cannot believe it to be so. Nevertheless, that is what is said. So now I turn to you for.
So you want us to look in to see if there was any foul play then?
Indeed.
Very well.
Beatrix. I met Beatrix 3 decades ago now, when I was still building my empire into what it is now. And he gestures around to kind of the obviously rich station he now has. I was but a simple merchant trying to build a mercantile empire at that point when I docked at the Styes. It was infatuation at first sight, and love came after. And while Beatrix did leave with me despite my offerings, Jean and Eleanor refused. They had the stubbornness of the Stye folk. That place is, I believe it to be cursed. Whether a curse of arcane nature or more mundane means, I've just collected and collated depression, fear, anger, and stubbornness, I know not. Nevertheless, corruption is rampant there. It would not surprise me if Jean was framed. The law there is loose, shall we say. It is more the law of coin than justice. And it is said that no gods dwell there anymore.
Coin holds no sway over me. The gods
and that is why
are always here.
That is why I reach out to you, in the hopes that you can bring a divine care to this case.
Yes.
And to you, Arvyn, who I know is always journeying to find goodness, even if you have lost your vision of it in recent times. And you, Zed, who is just adventurous in general. It is always useful as the driving force. And you, Dirk, I know to be someone who is good at using the shadows to get what you want. You are all strong, but not well known. And that is good. For those in the Styes, while it is a small and isolated place, It is the home of pirates and smugglers and all sorts, and it would not surprise me if there is a strong information network to one of their rulers, to those that claim the title of Lord. Hence I turn to you for. Should you do this for me, I will reward you handsomely, all of you, to the best of my ability, and beyond even. Should you find Jarm's innocence, prove it, or bring those that have led to his death to justice, I care not which. So long as you do either, you will be handsomely rewarded. Coin, favor, shelter, food, whatever you might desire, I will give it to you. Should you bring the news of his guilt, however, I cannot blame that on you and will similarly reward you, just probably without the same favor, to be honest. It would be saddening news indeed. You watch as he almost seems to collapse in on himself at that. And Beatrix kind of leans down to kind of offer her comfort a bit more. And looks up at you all as imploringly as she can, basically.
Have we all been in the same room together before, Beowulf included?
Yeah. You've all journeyed together. You all know each other well. If you mean the Ildrix as well.
Yes.
Yeah. With Lycian, quite a lot.
Okay.
He's employed you more than a few times. Beatrix, this is like the third time you've all been in one place with her. You've met her individually or like in twos every now and then, but it's more in passing. This is like one of the few serious meetings you've had with her.
Beowulf's reaction, is that a new thing? Or is this...
That is completely new.
Okay. And it was for both of them, yes?
It was for both of them, yes.
And what, he... I was like, I don't want to dwell on the dog.
Yeah,
But
no, it's fine.
like, is this like a thing where it's kind of standoffish? Is he like sitting upright? Is he keeping an eye on them?
He went to approach as normal. Got halfway to them, and it's very much smaller dog meeting bigger dog. He almost like bowed his head in submission to like the stronger dog and backed away. So he's not really looked at them, tail between legs. It's basically a very subdued dog is the best way I can it's hard for me to put it to words, but
not like an act of hostility or aggression. This was not growling or any. Okay. All right. So he got put in his place. Okay. And this is the first time. All right. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to like harp on the dog here, but
no, it's fine. It's fine.
So I mean, yeah, I'm kind of obviously I'm moved. I have a sense of justice. I don't. No matter my outlook on existence, I still want to do right while I'm here. So, like, I'll be as moved as I can, for being old and elf and probably dead inside. But yeah, I'll try to do my best to kind of convey, despite everybody kind of Arvyn's all sad all the time. My head's still in it, but I am going to pay attention to what's going on with Beowulf.
Yep. So, do you give your agreement to take the job?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Always paid well in the past.
As you all agree, you see, like almost rather than well before he did collapse in almost like sadness, you see his shoulders drop in relief, and the same for Beatrix also. She similarly has the same relief before almost steeling herself for a moment and backing away as Lycian pushes himself to his feet. Now, my friends, I do hate to do this, but you understand you are dealing with my family, and so this has to be said. I do not mean this in any way to cause offense, but consider this just a slight warning. And he leans forward and his hand kind of almost slams onto the desk. You see dark grey eyes just blare white, pure white for a moment as these two almost ethereal wings burst out behind him. And you kind of all realize you took as a human is Ismir in heritage. As you feel this like divine weight set upon all of you suddenly, as he glares with blinding white eyes to each of you, lingering on the Leonin at the end of the line for a second before kind of returning to stare at you as a whole. The skies is a den of darkness and misery, and corruption and murder and more. You deal with my family on this case, and so I must say this, and I do not say this to harm or insult, or to be rude even, but in warning. Should you not practice caution in the skies, and should your action bring harm or death upon Eleanor, my dear sister-in-law has decided to eke out a life there. I will know. My wife will know through her networks, and I will bring my wrath down upon all of you. I have lost a brother. I will not lose a sister also. Am I clear in this? And you see that the wings grow almost larger in that final statement. A command rather than a question. This divine sense pressing down on all your shoulders all the more. And you don't get the feeling of anger from this, but more
like a frustration.
Conviction. Conviction and frustration in equal manner of his powerless in this, how powerless he is to act in this moment. As he has said, you are unknown, he is not, however. And so he's forced to rely on matters of family with others rather than with his own authority. And this is his basic way of punctuating his displeasure should something go wrong. And just glares from one to the other.
Sid will speak up and say, well, we've always done a good job in the past. I don't see it going any differently this time. We will exercise caution. And we will get to the bottom of this.
Agreed.
Arwen's actually going to be a little impressed that he kind of flexed this non-human like form. Being from the Fae, I think, kind of higher beings.
Yep.
Bit of fair play to him for it, and a respectful nod.
Yeah. I will say though, for you, Dirk, while this display is impressive, you do catch Beatrix's eyes which you now notice are almost venomously green, as she stares at you, and you hear a whisper in your mind. We know of your proclivities, my friend. For this time, use them. But should your choices bring harm to my sister, I will be most wroth. And while my dear husband is the gauntlet, shall we say, consider me the silken dagger that slips between the ribs. And you see a smile, slightly dark in nature, come to this otherwise stately woman's features before settles back into a more genial grin.
I'll give her a nice big smile there, my teeth. Hat has claws. I like it.
You hear a faint, almost giggle in your mind for a moment before you feel that connection dissolve. And similarly, Lice, I keep messing up my own characters' names. Lycian's form settles back into that of the human. With a slight sigh, he reaches up, Joe fixes his hair where it's fallen out of place slightly and straightens out his shirt. Forgive me for that. It had to be said. Captain, as he raises his voice, you see a door that otherwise was unnoticed kind of swing open. And for the two of you that didn't meet him, this is your first time seeing this particular tabaxi in a long time. This short, grey-furred tabaxi in the pirate, in the what I can only describe as like a pirate outfit, just unbuttoned shirt, tunic, I suppose, trousers, boots, the coat and the tricorn hat all comes kind of slipping into the room ever so slightly and reaches up, doffs the hat into a bow to you and then to the Ildrix as well. You called for me, sir? Ready your ship. We have our 4 volunteers. I wish you to depart come morning. You see a nod from the tabaxi before he turns to the 4 of you with a very wide grin, almost cheeky grin. Well, with my dear friend's little intimidation show out the way, I look forward to seeing you at the docks come morning. First light, please. We wish to set sail as soon as possible. Do not delay. And he almost turns and, for lack of a better description, swans out of the room before you can say anything. Just this jaunty swagger of someone who is overconfident in such a way that he knows it pisses people off. Get the idea that, and you know as well, the captain just enjoys riling at people just to see how far he can push. Hence why you've been given a whole collection of names, including names along the lines of Joe Bend Over and things like that. It's a mess trying to get a name out of the captain. But you're left there with the 2 Ildrix, one chuckling to himself in seeming enjoyment of the tabaxi's nature, the other Beatrix frowning quite disapprovingly. As I said, and as the dear captain said, and I do hope it works for you, but I would hope you to leave come first light and to get to the skies as soon as possible. Is that amiable for you all?
Yes, that is no issue.
Good. Well, my armory is open to you all, as too is this. And he reaches into the desk and pulls out some coin, and each of you are given, it's only 20 gold, but it's in a collection of silver and copper. That will go better in the size than pure gold. You're not exactly rich there.
The wheel.
I'm spending coin. Pardon me. And he looks over you all with kind of a frown and a grin at the same time. I thank you for this, sincerely I do. For all of my harsh words just now. I do appreciate you taking this job. I would be too noticeable in appearance. I would be known immediately upon setting foot on those docks, and my movements tracked, and whatever secrets lie there, they would be hidden from me upon first notice. But for you, for journeyers just arriving, just stopping for a while, that might pass without notice. You will meet Eleanor at, damn blast, what was it called? You see him kind of look up at his wife for a moment, and you, Dirk, get the idea of that telepathic connection between them for but a moment before he looks back to you all. Right, the Drunken Steed is where you'll find Eleanor. He reaches into a drawer again and pulls out basically a locket and passes it across the table.
I'll snatch it up first.
As you do, and you open it, you see 2 portraits. Those that bear a similarity to Beatrix, and you get the idea that this was a memento of the family. And you see kind of carved over top of it is Lovage, and then beneath each portrait is Eleanor and Jarm. So you get the idea this is of the Lovage siblings.
Kind of look at it until I absorb it and then hand it off to Dirk.
I'll give it just a quick inspection and pass it around.
I'm just gonna.
As I
I'm
mentioned,
just gonna pass it along. I'm not even gonna look at it.
Yeah, Sid'll read it for sure.
yeah. Pardon me. Like, as you'll know what your contact, for lack of a better word, looks like.
Appreciate it.
As I mentioned, my armory, should you wish to equip yourself with anything, is open to you. Anything that I can do to supply you and aid you in this journey, well, I would be glad to do so.
Sid will grin and he'll pull out his maul that he has made himself and worked on, and he'll say, I'm pretty happy with the equipment I make myself. Thank you very much. He'll just take a minute to gloat as the maul kind of like lets out a little glow on some of the trim on it as he like cycles some of his energy through it.
That little bit of lens flare like an anime. Ding.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
It's just like he's very proud of his work, so he just shows it off a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, unless you choose to take him up on his offer, I imagine you all leave. You're met at the door by a butler, essentially, who informs the three of you who arrived in the city that rooms have been made available for you at the Three Crows, which is basically a dockside inn.
Cool.
Unless you found other accommodations.
I definitely don't even live in this city, so the Three Crows sounds good.
Yep.
I'm kind of encouraged that we all go there. We should retire for the night, head to the Crows.
As you all head out, Sidrius, do you join them at the Three Crows? Or do you find your own, go to your own abode?
He'll join them. Sid,
Okay.
well, he likes to stick with the party.
Yeah. In that case, as you're leaving, if you make mention of this, the butler does provide you with enough coin to get you a room for the night as well. So you're not paying out your own pocket for this. It's all being financed on the Ildrick family, essentially. But yes, you find your way to these rooms, and unless there's anything you do during the night.
Just my normal prayers to the twilight once it is in position to shine into my room.
Yep. In that case, other than that, you all go to sleep with the sound of the docks, which never truly sleeps, and slowly drift off. Oh, good.
I will say that as we're drifting off into sleep, we just hear like Beowulf just snoring, like a loud metallic, like almost like an engine,
like a steam whistle.
Love it.
Yeah.
Engine to sleep. I love it. Yeah. I'm going to say that you're well known enough in this area that people know of Beowulf, so you might get a few disgruntled people come morning, but no words are said, But yes, as we drift off into the night, I get your slumber. We'll take a slight break, maybe.
Cool.
Okay.
All right,
Take
perfect.
a halfway break there, I think.
All right. Very good. Sorry about the camera thing. I'm having issues here. All right. It is currently 8:35. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. We will come right back. To my good friend Daryl, thanks for the raid and for sticking around. Really appreciate it. I didn't want to interrupt our DM, so thank you for stopping by. All right. Like I said, it is 8:35. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. I hope to see you on the other side. All right, we are back from our real life short rest. Sorry, I gotta fix this again. But we're back, and we're gonna turn it back over to Sam while I fix my camera.
Well, then it comes to the morning, and you all wake up to the sound of gulls in the air, dock workers going back and forth as the fresh sunlight begins to peek into your rooms. This is at first light. You did all wake up on time, being used to kind of trying to make sure you wake up at certain points. And so each of you, including the construct, slowly make your way down to the docks. You were not in any way informed which pier the captain is actually docked at, but nevertheless you start wandering the docks, and eventually you each see in the distance an individual kind of jolt forward upon seeing you all and starts waving you all down. It's not the captain, but it is a elven individual, young even by elf standards, dressed very similarly to the captain, only without the overcoat or the hat.
We'll start walking over there.
Oh boy.
Wonder what this child wants.
As you approach, they perk up, seeing that you are kind of responding to their gestures. Brilliant. Good. We were just getting ready to leave, so you're just in time. The captain's waiting. And almost immediately about turns and strides off to what you see as a large kind of galley. Obviously more for mercantile reasons rather than combat. There are a few cannons. And if I pull you to this map, you can kind of get a layout of the ship. And then I'll make sure lighting is fine. Yep, and I'll drag each of your characters on. There you go.
So the middle deck is the top, and then there's the lowest ones on the top and bottom.
So the way it works, the topmost is basically the interior of the top deck, if that makes sense. So the top two are the top deck.
Mm-hmm.
The third down is middle deck, and then at the very bottom is bottom deck.
Okay.
That's just so you have an idea of what the ship might look like and where you might approach yourself for the journey. But not on the ship yet. As you approach, you can see the kind of captain is giving orders from, it's not my terminology, but from behind the wheel, let's just say. Glances over at the shout from the young lad, and with a beaming grin, gives another command that you don't quite make out before jumping up onto the rigging and kind of leaning down over the docks to look down at you. You made it. Perfect. Come on aboard, please, to the Saint Anne. Don't wait around too long. We're looking to raise anger and get going pretty soon. We don't want to piss off the port authorities by delaying.
Then let's leave. Let's go.
See, and this is why I like you, as annoying as you can be at sometimes, Rasma. And he almost, again, cat-like, climbs up the rigging, up and back onto the ship proper, and you're kind of waved on by the young elven lad. The ship, as you stride on, it's a mess with people running backwards and forth at the moment, carrying goods and supplies to one place and another, running below deck, stowing crates as the captain kind of swaggers down to meet you. Welcome aboard my vessel. I do hope that it meets your level of comfort for our little journey. We won't be... Maybe start back a little bit. So the plan is we are sailing on our regular voyage as part of the Erdah Trading Company. We will be stopping over at the Styles momentarily to offload some goods and bring on other goods. During that time, you are to evacuate the ship as quietly and stealthily as you can and try and get in without raising too much suspicion. My job is to get you there without too much risk, damage, and notice. So yes, welcome aboard to the Saint Anne. And he throws his arms wide. Any questions?
Where can I put my things?
Good point. And you see as he kind of gazes around at the deck for a moment before. Raymond, here, come here. Don't be doing here. You see a guy who's carrying like a massive sack about to go beneath deck, kind of jolt and almost drops it on his foot for a moment before hurrying over. You're face to face with a halfling. Raymond, here we'll show you where your rooms are. I made sure to cordon off a small area for bedding for you, since we need to keep you in top shape, you know. Don't mind any nasty looks from the crew. I had to move them into a below your deck, to make space. So, get to your comfort.
Nothing like starting out on the right foot.
No, I'm never going to make it easy for you. You know that by now.
Very much.
And a small request for you, Sidrius. The lovely dog here. When he's on top deck, you keep him away from the sides of the ship just in case. We're going to be going through some rough oceans, so best to be safe.
Oh, you won't have to worry about that. He's not the biggest fan of water. I won't even have to keep him away. He'll stay well away.
Yeah, that is comforting. I would hate you to lose your day pet after all. And he flashes a slight grin, fanged grin to you all. So,
Sid will just put his hand. I was just gonna say, Sid will just put his hand on Beowulf's head as he kind of nods. But yeah, sorry.
Yep, no, that's fine. Any other questions you have, or shall Raymond here show you to your quarters?
No question, but Dirk's demeanor will change drastically from like a far off sort of staring into nothingness. He's like very alert of his surroundings, and I'll just try to be as close to the middle of the boat at all times, far away from the water.
Makes sense. So yeah, in that case, if no questions are forthcoming, the captain gives another bow to all, kind of doffing his tricorn hat again once more, and scurries back up onto the ship, where you immediately hear him start shouting out orders. This close, none of you recognize the language he's actually speaking in. It's something unknown to all of you. But nevertheless, his people seem to know what he's saying and are going about business and under his direction, as Raymond turns you all and just with a, well then, shall I show you to your quarters?
Head on.
Onward, Raymond.
Follow me then. And with a kind of skip, almost will turn and head below deck. And if you see on the map, on the middle deck, you can see some green sheeted beds. They are basically where you're led to. And Raymond kind of just looks around and, well, that was where I was sleeping. I am not sleeping there anymore. That is now yours. I am most pissed. And there's just this wide grin while he's saying that. But I hope you enjoy. And he just immediately turns and gets back to work. There's a bit of a grudge.
Yeah. Fair. I'm going to go ahead and claim the bed closest to the wall and throw my stuff on it.
Because all of them are technically closest to the wall. But yeah.
Well, whatever one is up against wall.
Yeah,
I call a wall.
No, you each find a bed for yourselves in that case. And yeah, you're kind of left there looking around as people are just running back and forth, taking some, stowing stuff on your level and even going below your deck to the very base of the ship, bowels of the ship, if you will. Is there anything that you wish to do while these preparations are underway?
Yeah, I'm going to start making some like protected sigils above our bed. Just like do a cursory glance around for some like paint or something like that, and then just start.
I don't know about paint, but make me an investigation check. Oh yeah, also for it's worth, when you're doing your rolling, you can either roll physical dice or foundry. I don't mind what you will choose to roll.
I'm gonna go physical because I'm old school, and I don't trust these roller thingies. They are always bastards to me.
Yep. No, I get that entirely.
Okay, 17.
17. You don't find any paint, but there's like pieces of chalk lying around that you could easily draw with if you so chose.
Okay, I'll find the chalk and get to work putting up a bunch of protective runes and sigils above our bed, and basically work my way around the room.
Makes sense. Is there anything else that?
As soon as he finishes, prestidigitation. I'll just.
I was gonna say if you did that, you would have got. If it was a video game, you would have seen reputation with the crew plus 100 or something pop up. But...
Yeah. No, he's not gonna do that.
We weren't expressly like instructed to stay down here, right? Like we're just down here. Okay.
This is where you've been stationed, or where your quarters are, sleeping is, but you're free to go elsewhere.
Okay. I'm just gonna go up to the main deck.
Yep.
And just try to be like not in anybody's way, but as close to like the railing and the water and everything outside as possible.
Oh, it's easy enough. You take station next to what seems like one of 4 cannons on the ship. As I mentioned, it's more mercantile than anything else, so it's not got a lot of armaments. But you can easily step off to one side. There seems to be some like cannonballs secured nearby, and Nevos is kind of giving that a berth at the moment because kind of that job was done. Now on to other jobs. So you're out of the way, and you can watch kind of the people scurrying back and forth.
I'm just gonna post up on some cannonballs then.
Yep, fine. Dirk, do you wish to do anything?
No, just gonna stay below deck and try not to get seasick.
Fair enough.
Con save.
And
That's
Sidrius.
unfortunate.
Oh no, the con saves will be coming. Okay, so if you try not to get seasick, I'm making a note of that. That's not canon. And
yeah, Sid is, he'll just probably try to sleep it off. Try to sleep. He is excited for the adventure and the ship. There's really just not a lot to do on it.
I'll say you're probably still a bit hungover from your massive amount of drinking the day before in the reunion.
Probably. In fact,
so even though you woke up, oh good.
He might even go see if some of the sailors have some ale on them. But
you make an effort to go and do so, and get very rudely and get just brushed aside with the motto of, "We've got a job to do first."
Yeah, dude, they're like pulling ropes, and you're like, "Hey, man, can I get a drink?"
Hey, you guys on the job?
Hey, bro, you know where the cheese is? They're off.
You approach this like giant hulking Goliath who's got like 2 massive barrels over his shoulders. He's running them below deck, which are probably ale barrels, which is why you approach him. And he just looks down at you for a moment and, "Well, I've got a job to do right now, but speak to me later, yeah?" And we'll just
very well. I'll look for you.
And he just goes carrying down. Takes about 20 or so minutes, but those of you that are keeping an eye out on the kind of crew will notice that the activity starts to slow and people are more gathering top deck. Rigging is being sorted, the sails, everything's being prepared, to set off essentially, and you get the idea that you'll probably be setting sailing within the next couple of minutes. And those of you top deck would notice as the captain kind of jumps below deck for a moment, gathers everyone and leads you all, so you all top deck up onto the to where the wheel is essentially. Is gathering the 4 of you. And takes a place kind of leaning against the one of the railings and looks you all over. "So, a couple of ground rules before we set off. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can gamble, you can play cards, you can drink. I don't give two shits what you do while you're on my ship. You're free to do whatever. Two things though: don't get in my way, and don't get in my crew's way. Three things. And if we're attacked, I want you helping. Am I understood in this?
Can do.
Yes.
Marvelous. Marvelous. We should not be assaulted by, well, any pirates, but it's the open ocean. Who the fuck knows what people are going to choose to do, outside of any boundary of law? I mean, I know I've done more than a few things, so who am I to speak here? And he just chuckles and kind of flashes his hand, which are missing the fingers that were cut off as punishment for smuggling. But good to know that we have you strong, strapping folk to help us out, eh? Well, what the fuck are you standing around for? Go, shoot. Go do whatever the fuck you want. And kind of whiplashes almost immediately into shouting out orders once more. And you can see anchor being raised, and basically the ship is setting off. If you wish to jump off the ship, now is kind of your last chance to do so before you do so in the middle of the ocean.
I'm going to roll
In
my
that case-
eyes at almost everything the captain says. As soon as he said you can drink, I'm
Yep.
going to take like a little flask of like Fey wine. I'm going to offer some to Sid because he looks kind of rough. But yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little, like a Kai-sized amount.
I mean, yeah, it's it's literally not from this world.
It's legit out of this world. But
Yes.
Sid will take it. He likes tasting new vintages.
Make me a Constitution saving throw as
That's
you take a swig of fair wine.
As you take a swig, I'm gonna panic because you took way too much for non-Fey.
Like, whoa.
I said a little.
He's all like, "Dink."
And now the dwarf's overboard. Shit, that's my fault.
Sorry, it took me just a second. 27.
That's fine.
Though.
Nailed
You
it.
feel this fey wine hit you, and it's almost like you don't stagger physically, but it's like mentally you stagger for a moment, and then that is bloody lovely wine. That is amazing. You wish you could have a whole casket of it for yourself.
Told you.
Yeah, Sid very much enjoyed it. He does feel the effects of it a little bit,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah. No,
you know,
it's not like you were not avoiding the effects. You feel the effects, but it doesn't knock you on your arse unconscious.
exactly.
You also
Um,
think we're out at sea and we've barely like drifted away from the dock, like rolling from side to side, like we're out in the open ocean, and everybody's just like, "The hell." Hey, man, go sit down.
Arvyn, I must say this is a very good drink here. Do you have any more?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay,
It's
I'm gonna keep that in mind. I don't want to drink all of it just yet. I will, little by little, I will come to you when I need a very good flavor.
present company excluded. It's one of the few things that makes this plane of existence bearable. It's gonna Rasma realize they don't drink. Dirk,
I don't drink.
Oh, all right. Well, me and the dwarf then. What a shock. A little sip.
Rasma, seeing the bottle being passed around, pulls a little container out of his pocket and pops the lid, and a big June bug kind of flutters out, and he with his tongue
Nice.
and closes the lid and flips it over and starts offering the other June bug to whoever wants it.
I'm
Anyone?
trying to
Anyone?
quit.
No, but it might be time for Beowulf to get a drink as he kind of like gets a little thing of gasoline out
Oh.
and puts it in a bowl.
I'm like clutching my flat. I was like, hey, whoa, look. Oh, okay.
No,
No one
honestly-
wants no one takes my bug, so I pop the lid and it flies out.
Nice.
stick the jar back into my pocket. Oh, whoa.
So for this whole time, as the ship begins to leave port, the captain's just been laughing at you all, essentially, just taking in the whole interaction, just enjoying it immensely. So, as we said, I actually have 2 more things you can do on the ship. You can gamble, you can fight, you can brawl, you can do whatever the fuck you want to my crew. Just do not harm them too much. I don't care if you smack them over the head a little bit, but broken bones are going to be a complete pain to deal with once we get out to sea. So, well, you do that, I'll toss you overboard. Job or no job. Second thing. Well, I can't remember what the second thing was. Just go, fuck it, have fun. I don't give a shit. And you can see him almost immediately just kind of grab at the wheel, and while his demeanor once more kind of whiplashes just into actual seriousness this time. This is the first time you've kind of seen him serious as he barks a few commands, and all of you watch as the sails are dropped to full, essentially. Runes start to burn up along them, and despite the rather meager wind at the moment, you feel the whole vessel kind of lurch forward as you pick up speed. Unnaturally so. Seems there is some arcane array of some sort which will aid you in your journey. Make things just a little bit quicker.
My background is as a sailor.
Mm-hmm.
Rasma spent many, many years on boats.
Yep.
And is there anything I can tell about this boat because it's so unnaturally fast? Is there any kind of apparatus or magic that I think might be at work here?
The only magic you've seen sign off is the runic array that kind of flared up for a moment on the sails. And apart from that, it seems like it's just a regular ship.
Do I have any concept about
you get the idea that
runes?
Good. Make me an Arcana check.
Oh. That was a really, really good roll. Let's see what we got here. So that's a 19.
Okay. With a 19, you don't get a full read on them, but you kind of get the intent behind them, if you will. Essentially, this runic array is, to the best of your understanding, it's almost like a consistent push of wind against the sails. So even while the actual wind might be even in like the other direction, there's wind being generated, if you will, behind the sails, so they'll always push forwards, and it just aids a bit in journeys to make sure they're a bit quicker. You've not seen arrays like this before. You've heard about them on some larger ships which are very, very strongly financed, but yeah, that's the best you can make out.
He's gonna kind of sit there and take that in.
I'm gonna make my way back up to the front. Like I said, same deal, cannonballs if I'm not, once again, like not in the way. But yeah. I wanna...
The deck's no longer as busy, so it's kind of a lot easier now to stay out of the way if you want to stay out of the way. Okay. It's not difficult in the slightest.
I'm still pretty good with my cannonballs. I think the situation in which I will need to move will require me to move of my own volition, so I'm good.
Fair enough. Yes, as the day of sailing looms before you, is there anything anyone wishes to do?
Do any cool things?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go down below deck and finish writing my sigils, and then put a circle on the floor and start doing some sigil work around the circle.
Are you casting anything in particular, or just kind of more just calling for more flavors?
I'm readying a circle for a magic circle spell and for flavor. Okay.
Yeah, that's easy enough. You get a few glib eyes sent your way, but it seems when you start drawing a magic circle, and I assume like teleportation sigils, what you're looking for? Or is it just...
It's just a magic circle. It's like a sanctuary kind of spell.
Okay. Yeah, you get a few glib eyes sent your way just at the fact you're kind of drawing in the middle of this deck. but it seems a few might recognize what you're doing, and there's like a whispered word to a couple of those that seem like they're going to intrude, and you're kind of left to your business and allowed to keep drawing. Dirk, is there anything that you wish to do?
How many days journey is the?
When you're asked, you're told it'd be about 3 to 4.
4 days.
Normally a bit longer, but with the arcane assistance, it'd be much quicker.
I mean, no, probably just spend most of his time down below deck, just trying not to look at how much water there is all around him.
Okay, make me just a Constitution saving throw. This is just to see how well you can keep your food down.
16.
Okay. Beneath your fur, you go a bit green at times, but otherwise you manage to go on like your monk train. You manage to center yourself more than a few times and push off such unwellness. It's still not pleasant for you by any means, but you manage to keep your lunch down at least. And you're able to sink into meditation if you so wish to do so. What do I mean? Sidrius, what do you find yourself doing?
Sid is probably going to hang out with the Goliath, who had the big barrels of ale. He's on the job at this point, so he's never going to let himself get to unable to fight. But
yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
You approach him then, and you find him and Raymond actually. The halfling from before who showed you to your quarters. You find them on the bottommost deck, upturned barrel, and just playing with dice and having a drink. It seems they're not on shift at the moment, essentially, so they're just relaxing and enjoying themselves. As you approach, Raymond looks up and see if we can get the accent right. Laddie, come join us, please. Take a seat, don't you? Yeah, this is Bob. And gestures to the Goliath.
Sid will
Jesus Christ.
Sid will grin a little bit, and he said, "I'd love to join you all. I see you're playing some dice. If you don't mind, I'll play a few rounds."
By all means, join us. Just there's more coin for me to take. And you see this wide grin on this halfling's face, and just Bob isn't just the Goliath is just kind of scowling to himself. And you can see him after another roll just slide a couple of copper over to Raymond. So if you sit to join in the dice, I won't do a full dice game. But are you doing this legitimately, or are you trying to cheat the dice?
Sid is just mostly looking for something to keep him busy while he drinks a little bit.
Okay. In that case,
so
just do
it
me.
doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah, just do me a straight D20.
Let's see.
And just tell me what you get.
14.
Ooh. I say you do pretty well. They're not dealing much in a lot of coin. It seems this is more just to pass the time rather than any actual gambling. But you do end up coming away with like 5 extra copper in your pocket and a lot of drink.
Awesome.
You manage at some point it shifts to, instead of for coin, it's for drink, and that's when you start winning.
Yep.
And they have to provide the drinks from their own stock.
When Sid kind of hits that point where he's like, all right, I still got to be able to respond if something happens. He will kind of like put his hand up and be like, all right, I appreciate the good time, guys, but I better take it easy. We don't know. There could be an assault on this ship at any minute, and if I have one more, I think I'll be more of a burden than a boon to my allies. So.
Well, I ain't going to complain if a lightweight like Shu wants to drop out. Besides, you're taking my coin and my drink, so I don't give two shits if you fuck off. And Raymond just kind of laughs to himself, just all in good. It's all in good jest for him. You get the idea after he's warmed up a bit to you.
Yeah, Sid waves at them, kind of like gives a little like head nod, bow kind of thing, and he makes his way up to the to see the sigils.
Yeah. So I'll make a quick roll to see how the day goes. All right. As it gets towards evening, and you all have found things to entertain yourself with, let me find the right music. No. It slowly starts to storm as the day goes on. Dark clouds gathering overhead. You, Arvyn on top, see these clouds begin to form, and you can see, as you draw closer to them, and you can feel the wind picking up, you start to see sheet lightning dancing through these crowds. If at some point you've wandered closer towards the captain, you'd hear him start to grumble under his breath as he stares at these clouds ahead of him. Well then, that is not going to be good for us. Shit. Llewellyn? You see he shouts over and you see a female drow shift forward. Captain? Do me a favor, batten down the hatches and inform the crew that we might have some difficulties, yeah? And if anyone looks a bit peaky, tell them to do the best to keep the food down. I do not want to be cleaning up some mess. She gives a slight nod and comes down and will approach Dirk and gives warning that might be getting a bit rough soon, to kind of steal yourself. And then goes on shouting, and so the other two of you also pick this up. And this is not... It's not good. No. Arvyn, come here for a second, please.
Stretch and start making my way over. Yes, Captain.
If you could ready yourself in case something goes wrong, eh? That storm is not natural, I do not believe. No, it is not natural at all. You can see, as you're drawing closer, it starts to just kind of swirl forward into more kind of like cyclone ahead of you. The sheet lightning kind of just dancing through these clouds, but never actually striking or anything. It's just constant sheet lightning. You start to hear the faint rumbling.
Is there any other like change of, because is the wind still kind of dead that we're relying on these runes for wind in the sails?
At this point, the wind's picking up, but in the other direction. So it's full reliant on these runes and sigils right now to provide any.
But there is like a change in weather, like signifying it's not just like, ooh, look, it's creepy looking. There's actually like wind and all that kind of stuff too.
There's something, there's something else building.
Okay.
It's natural. Basically, it seems the storm it origins from what the captain's saying might be not natural, but there is a natural effect.
Okay. Sensing this, of the nature myself, I'm gonna listen to the captain. I'm gonna kind of stay close to him. I guess he's the one at the wheel, yeah. So it's just kind of him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna stick kind of close to him. And is there like some rope like affixed to like the boat anywhere that I could like wrap around my ankle just in case?
There's more than enough rope to do that.
All right, so as I get ready by the captain, I'm gonna grab some line, like I guess tied to the side of the ship, and I guess kind of wrap it around my ankle just in case, I want to be tied to something. I'm not going overboard.
Yeah.
Like plate armor that is very, very bad.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Is it nighttime yet?
It's getting to evening.
Then I'll head back out onto the deck.
Okay. as you head out, you can see Arvyn kind of tying himself off. The captain, completely serious and staring off into the distance with a furrowed brow. As you come out on deck, you hear the peal of rumbling thunder in the distance and start to feel the rain come down heavily.
I'll I'll take my holy symbol out of my shirt and kind of catch the moonlight with it and get like a blue aura around myself while I stand there on the deck and just kind of watch the weather.
Seeing you come on deck, Rasma, the captain does kind of catch your eye. Be a good friend. Get the other two on deck, please. I want to be prepared for whatever this is. Tie yourself off.
With it raining, I'm gonna pull like my hood back, and I'm gonna go like full Shawshank, and just like let it rain on me.
As you do so, then, since you're kind of feeling that rain heavying down on you fully, can you make me an Arcana check?
I can. Oh no.
Actually, wisdom saving throw would probably be better.
Oh, I got you. I got you, fam. No worries there. Wisdom saving throw, 18.
Okay.
Feeling pretty good. Now I feel like I shouldn't.
Don't forget you also have your aura of protection, which gives you +2.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all that math already in there.
Gotcha.
Yep. As Rasma goes below deck, if you do go below deck, Rasma, to grab the other two, and you kind of throw yourself back for a moment, and kind of letting the rain wash over you, you start to hear. It's almost like it's similar to what you heard in the Feywild with that Fey. There's almost a song within the wind, within the storm. Nothing with words, but intent, feeling, if you will. You get the idea of destruction, of wrath, of the dark abyss, of corruption. And you can almost like hear it in the wind. It's not words itself, but almost like a song of intent, if you will. By the way, if anyone's read, I think it's Sauron and I can't remember his name, but I think in Beren and Luthien, Tolkien writes of a battle with Sauron where it's them singing of meaning and intent rather than actual spell casting. If anyone's read anything, it's that kind of thing. It's a song of intent rather than any spells being cast. Something's being pulled forth through song, and that song has no set words, but is to describe something and then bring it into being.
And so the song I heard in the Feywild, this reminds me of it like thematically, or it reminds me of it like, hey, you've heard this song before.
It's thematically.
Okay.
It's thematically. It's the same idea. This is not an actual song as far as you know.
Sure.
But it's something that's carrying an intent. Whereas in the Feywild, it was like just a joy of random clashing and chaos.
So different intents the two times I've heard it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But you get that it's like the same. It feels like spell casting. It's the same way of casting a spell, just different spells.
Got it.
That's been the best analogy.
Okay, cool. With it.
Rasma, do you gather the other two?
Yep. I head down and go get everybody.
Should I be concerned by what I'm hearing on this boat, or is it just a way to contrast what I heard earlier in the Feywild?
This song is what you're actually hearing from the storm ahead of you.
Is it?
And as you kind of react,
okay,
the captain looks over towards you with a kind of wry grin. I see you hear it also, then, eh? Ready yourself. This is not going to be fun.
All right.
I will say when Rasmus comes and gets us, Sid will do all of his preparation for like as if a combat will be happening pretty soon.
Yep. As the three of you head back on deck, you all catch faint kind of glimpses of hearing this song, but unless any of you kind of let the rain wash over you, you don't hear what Arvyn did. If any of you do kind of let the rain wash over you, I need a wisdom saving throw from you, as the four of you gather top deck.
I would. I don't shy from being in the weather. So
Wisdom saving throw then.
24.
You get the exact same thing then, but you're able to pick that it's coming from the center of the storm, and it's nothing material in origin. This is from a different realm. This is something bleeding through.
I'll go ahead and share that knowledge with my party.
Yeah,
here.
it's not like it's in a feeling. It's more in the quote-unquote words of the song. You get flashes and pictures of the abyss. So not just like the deep abyss of the dark ocean, but that point where the material fades into the plane of water and then fades into the actual abyss itself. It's something like piercing the realms right now. As the three of you come up deck, by the way, the captain does shout down for you to tie yourselves off just in case.
Do
And you can see the crew that are top deck are also tying themselves off.
Trendsetter.
Ready yourselves. We have to go straight through the storm if you want to make good time.
Perhaps it is worth the lack of time.
We're not trying to win a race, Cap. Let's
In this case,
High
in this
wisdom
case,
says
we want to make good time, as in we want to get out of here quickly. We skirt this, it is going to follow us,
oh,
and it's going to go stronger.
onward, Captain.
Exactly. Look, disease are dangerous nowadays, alright? Not just from what you normally get, but from otherworldly things. I am no scholar, but I have seen creatures that I should not have seen. Demons have been swimming these waters. Demons that should not be here without outside interference. And you can see kind of steadying himself at the wheel as you draw ever closer.
Am I safe to assume that as the captain of this vessel, like he knows what he's doing? Like I don't have to concern myself with like should I keep an eye on him, catch him, or like is it safe to assume?
I'll say, Rasma, could you make me a insight check with advantage since you're a sailor?
Rasma, can I like? Is this guy gonna be okay?
Insights. 29.
Ooh,
The captain seems to know exactly what he's doing. He is fully confident, and as you enter the kind of the edges of the storm and the rain begins to hammer down, you can all now hear this song. And the captain kind of is at the wheel shouting orders. As you go deeper and deeper in, however, you watch as he kind of tips his head back and begins to sing himself. And it's kind of counter. You get from him, you hear like this low, undulating song of protection and defense of a stalwart tower that will not buckle, of the idea of guardianship, ownership, and a fierce protectiveness is what you begin to hear from the captain himself, and you can see the crew themselves kind of perk up a little bit as they try and keep the ship on course as the waves get harsh and rough, and you can feel the ship beginning to bounce and sway heavily from the giant waves that are now beginning to crash against you. You see the runes on the sails burn bright, almost searing into the sails themselves at this point, just on any effort to keep the ship on course. Any of you do anything?
On tightly.
do I recognize the language they're singing in?
Basically.
Do any of you speak Celestial? I'll put it that way.
Damn it, no.
No.
If you don't speak Celestial, you don't recognize
Okay.
the language of the captain. Do any of you speak Abyssal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn it.
In that case, you begin to make out specific words coming from the song. Whereas when opening yourself up to it, you kind of got intent. You, Rasma, as you go deeper in, begin to pick out words of wrath and anger, of opportunity, of taking this chance to claw through, to consume and sink and claim, to destroy and make dominion, essentially.
I was gonna say that's absolutely something you would get down to.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it.
And it's being, as I say, kind of sung in Abyssal right now. As the storm grows stronger still, as you head towards the kind of the center of it, the lightning overhead continues to dance as sheet lightning. It's never truly striking. And you can see some individuals of the crew running to the sides and kind of keeping a watch, essentially. Others running to ready cannons just in case. Otherwise, for now, the ship continues to fight its way through the storm.
Everybody still singing?
Everyone's still singing, yes.
Okay. I'm going to pull out
Captain and enemy both.
my bird pipes, and since I can't sing with them, like, I'm going to be in there giving a little high-pitched flute action, doing my part, trying to fit the mood as much as I can with bird pipes. I'm sorry. It's not really a menacing instrument.
You actually see a grin from the captain as you do so, and his song kind of catches your notes, if you will, and goes to merge with it, and kind of use it to kind of buoy himself. And you do feel like this surge. It's like one of your auras, Arvyn, but kind of being cast rather than being emanated naturally. And you kind of feel it kind of grow a little bit stronger. And with that,
Elven hair, wet hair, blowing in the wind, like storm and chaos,
Yep.
just heavy plate armor playing bird pipes.
yeah.
While everybody else is singing boss music around me.
What a visual, dude.
Does anyone else wish to do anything?
Let's see here. I think I might be okay. Yeah, I think I might be all right at this point.
Okay.
I'll just make sure that. Is there any kind of like crow's nest or anything in this place? Or on this boat? Or
There is, yes. Someone's currently up in the crow's nest, though, keeping a watch out.
there, I've been there.
Yep.
Alright. Well, then I'll just hang out near the mast where it is and tie
Okay.
myself off right there in the middle.
I think that's better music. If you need them. All right. Dirk, do you do anything? As you're heading deeper now into this.
Just
storm.
make sure that I'm nice and secured to the boat. And I have Tongue of the Sun and Moon, so I can understand all spoken languages.
Okay, in that case, yeah, you pick up this as well, then. This being Abyssal and Celestial kind of battling right now. This, by the way, is something none of you have ever seen the captain do before. This is completely new.
I will. This is probably as good a time as any, since Sid is kind of just in case the ship gets attacked. Sid is kind of ready for an assault on the ship. Beowulf will, usually he has a quote unquote fluffy tail with the design of the hair follicles on his tail are like kind of almost like tendrils in a sense.
Yep.
So as he gets ready for battle, they kind of like turn into little spikes on the tail, and then they wrap around a certain tool, some of his smith's tools, which has one of his infusions in that tool, and
Nice.
that is Beowulf's teeth, kind of like the way it's kind of getting into combat form, and they kind of turn into like
Wait,
almost fangs.
Yep, nice. I like it.
Scary.
So as you're readying yourself, let me just change the map slightly.
Did Beowulf just evolve?
He just
Yeah.
evolved. Yeah.
Wow. Good timing.
Now I'm gonna be honest. The way I planned, you'll see it when we get into combat.
You should not see that. No, that. All right. If I just drag your tokens onto the ship, if you just set yourselves where you would be, where you want to be, when they load, because they should be loading. Come on, Foundry, don't do this to me. Let me try resetting it. 1 second. That might work. Hopefully. Alright. Is that working? Can everyone see? This is anticlimactic. God damn that.
Not as if
we
you're
all
just
refresh.
switching to the Discord instead of the battle map for the stream.
Everyone could just refresh. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Because hopefully you should. Foundry, I like it, but I hate it at the same time.
Don't worry, I can edit all this out for the YouTube. It'll be fine.
Perfect.
I won't, but I could. I will absolutely forget.
Fair enough. Is it actually loading? Quite some.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
I just I've noticed this. It takes about 15 seconds for it to load.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ruining the tension.
I don't know. I'm pretty tense. I want to know what's going on. Can't
Yeah.
see it.
Mine's still going.
Mine's just loaded.
Max loaded.
Mine is taking its sweet yes time.
Yeah. Yeah,
There
of
we
course
go.
it is.
I'll say my laptop's old.
Yeah, 2014 for mine. Okay, it loaded. I'm on the ship. Everyone else is.
For those that's loaded, if you can set yourself where you would set yourself,
Yeah.
where you would be. I don't want a
Sid,
token for the captain. Please up at the wheel.
Sid would probably be somewhere in the middle. He's a very tanky person, and he would try to be
Yep.
in the front lines, so he'd want to be able to respond pretty quick.
Yeah, there we go.
Makes sense.
I want to hang out at the front. Now that I look at where we're at.
Yep.
I'm going to hang out at the front right there, all cross-legged, looking out towards the sea.
All right, that works.
All right, I'm hanging out next to the captain.
Yep. Right. Rasma, you'll be the only one in this case. Could you make me a perception check, please?
Sure. $23.
23. All right. You catch this, as do two of those on watch. They both turn and bellow towards the captain of basically a call of incoming. As you see coming up near you with the ship, what rises out the boiling water is a giant, almost corrupted-looking water elemental that seems to surge forward and rear back to slam into the ship. You get the chance to steady yourself just in time. The rest of you are... I need a roll of strength saving throw as this elemental surges forward and just slams heavily into the ship, enough so that you can feel the whole vessel rocking and rolling slightly from the impact.
Boom.
22.
19.
Okay. That's good.
Oh, 20 for Sid. And for the puppy, we have 15.
Ooh.
Alright, it's still fine. You still manage to catch yourself, as so too does Beowulf, before you can take a tumble. That was it. You see two members of the crew, however, aren't so lucky, even with the shouted warning, and they go, and with the wet deck from the rain, they slam to the ground and start tumbling towards the edge of the ship. It was only by the rope being tied off that they slam basically to a stop suddenly with a groan and a shout of pain, but safe from going overboard. As this elemental, larger than normal elementals would normally be, almost formed of corrupted water, which is blackened and stinking of like decay, essentially slams heavily into ship, much stronger than it should be. And I would like everyone to roll initiative, please, as the ship comes under attack.
What's that? 20. Got 19. So 23.
Second.
Be ready.
Just got to add you all to the combat tracker.
Uh, 24.
Shit.
Right. Give me a second. So I'll read out, then just tell me, when I read out your name, just tell me what you got. Dex,
Excuse me.
Shuffles. There we go. Okay, Arvyn.
16. Man, going first does suck. That does suck.
Rasma.
11.
Okay. Dirk.
23.
Rasma, this is you at the back of the boat with me.
Yeah, I'm with the captain.
Okay.
So I guess I'm with you too, huh?
Okay.
All right, Sidrius.
24.
And does your Beowulf go in your initiative?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so I'll put him to 24 as well. So in that case, top of the round, Sidrius, what do you do? The ship's just been attacked.
First thing, that's not what I meant to hit. The first thing Sid will do is move closer. So that is 1 second. There's 30 feet. And he's still a bit far away, so he is going to hold out his maul, and it's going to glow as he like points it towards the water elemental, and it's going to like blast a ball of fire, bolt of fire at it.
Yep. All right. Multi attack.
So let me. Sorry, I'm still getting used to just a little bit of this.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
That is a 23 to hit.
23 hits.
And I mean, I know it's a water elemental, so fire is probably not going to do much. I don't have another option though. 19 fire damage.
All right. You see some of the water be hit by the fire and kind of steam off, but it's still looking pretty hardy. Although there's kind of a gap now in the water elemental that's slowly filled in as it kind of shifts and roils in place.
And
anything else?
For the bonus action, he will command his Still Defender to move up to about there. And it will take the dodge action.
All right, sounds good.
And that's it.
No, just comes Still Defender too. Dirk, you're up.
Let's see. I will spend some key points and summon my astral body, so my arms and my visage. So a glowing red Roxasha appears around me. that kind of like looms over my physical form. And
Very much a stand.
yeah, and
Ready.
where is the water elemental on which side of the boat?
So the elemental's off the back of the boat. It's near-ish you, not too far away from you. What reach does your astral self give you again? I know it gives some reach.
10
Is
foot.
it?
It gives me an extra feet of reach.
If you move right to the edge of the railing, I think you will be able to land a hit on the water elemental.
Okay.
It's surging up against the ship after all.
Reloading the sound.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, didn't realize.
No worries.
Foundry, it's so good sometimes, but so shit otherwise. No. Let me know when you loaded him. As far as my internet is absolutely terrible at times.
Yes, it's not loaded up. I'm over here. It's well within my movement of 60 feet.
Yep. Yeah. No issue at all.
Laps around the boat.
Just this learning, just kind of sprinter start, surges forward as the Rakshasa kind of forms up behind him, and I imagine goes on the offensive.
Yeah, and I will throw a couple of punches, and the Rakshasa form behind me will throw its big, nice, meaty, glowing red arms off the back of the boat.
With its twisted wrists. If I remember correctly.
18 and 21.
I hate
Hit.
Rakshasa.
I know.
They'll hit. Both hit. Both of them hit. Roll damage.
And then let's do flurry of blows on those as well.
Yep, by all means.
14. Ooh, that was a low read. And 19.
14 and 19 points of damage. That would be. Alright. These glowing arms, the Rakshasa behind you, kind of slam forward and almost evaporate the water where they strike. And you can see this thing kind of shifts and loses its form for a second before, almost like a water spout, surging upwards and resettling itself. But it's looking not as sturdy. You've got some good hits on it already. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. End of your turn. It's the water elemental's turn. It is going to. Yep. It is going to surge upwards and almost start to climb the ship essentially. On a massive rising wave, it stands up and down onto the deck atop you, Dirk. As this water slams down onto, it's going to use its whirl ability. Well, sorry. And I need you to make me a DC 15 strength saving throw.
So you think what kind of saving throw?
Strength.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got that. 30.
It goes to try and grapple you, but you're able to push out of this thing's body. For a second, you're drowning essentially before you fight your way through. You do, however, still take damage as the water kind of touches your flesh. You feel it singe with searing coldness, this otherworldly feeling. With you being so aware of your astral self, kind of beginning to afflict your soul, essentially. Even though you shrug out of it, you still take. Where are my d12s? You still take 14 points of cold damage.
Unless you have evasion, right? Or unless it was a will save.
Yeah, this was strength,
Oh, yeah. Nothing you can
not
do.
dex.
Well,
Sorry. I tried to find the loophole.
also, how close?
End
are you
of-
to-
What kind of damage was that?
Cold damage. Alright, that's its turn. So distracted are you with this elemental, you don't notice until the last second as a large watery hand slams down on the deck behind you all as another elemental pushes its way up onto the ship by the rising tide. This thing looks down at the two crewmen that were sent scattering by the initial impact and lashes out with two meaty fists and misses. And the first one manages to roll out of the way. The second one is impacted, and you watch as this water just slams into him heavily and destructively, dealing a total of 19, 23, 30, 34 points of damage. You all watch as this crewman is just not splattered from the force of the water, but like ribcage just collapses inwards. You can see blood kind of spurt out of his mouth and fill this writhing water that shapes this elemental. As the hand draws back, you can see frozen ice crystals reaching up this crewman's face and blackish flesh has been corrupted and decayed in this single impact. And that's the creature's turn. At the end of the turn, the storm over your head roils and rages, and you hear another strike and crash of lightning before a bolt slams down upon Sidrius. Make me a dexterity saving throw at advantage. You're muted, by the way.
Advantage, alright. 1 second. Well, a 1 and a 2, so that is 11.
Okay, as the bolt comes down, you hear the song of the captain pick up slightly, and the bolt seems to slam into something for a moment, almost like into a physical block, held in place for a second before it pierces down towards you. You take the moment to try and dodge out of the way, but your foot is just caught by the lightning as you take 10 points of lightning damage. As this bolt just slams into the deck, and you smell burnt wood beginning to emanate over the kind of scent of electric on the air. End of it. The storm's turn. Arvyn, you're up. What do you wish to do?
The storm's turn? What?
By the way, those that you could hear the song in that moment, the song did pick up.
Okay.
Just before the attack.
All right.
Forgot to add that.
Real life battle music. Got it. All right.
Pretty much.
I am going to go ahead and slide over to Mild Water Elementally Boy. And I am going to slash at him twice with my badass magical sword. Who else is nearby? All right, so is he still on top of Dirk?
Yeah. Until Dirk moves, Dirk is kind of within the space, but is not trapped.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take 2.
Also right there, too.
Okay. I'm going to take 2 slashes with my sword. 17, which I'm not too confident about. And
That one hits.
Ooh. And then an 18.
It's a big, bulky thing. It's hard to miss.
Okay. So 17 and an 18.
Yep, both hit.
Okay. And we are going to do 9 slashing damage. And 13 slashing damage. And as a result of my magical sword, immediately after you use the attack action to attack with the sword, you can enable one creature within 60 feet of you to use its reaction to make a weapon attack. So I am going to pick Rasma, who's right there, to take a little choppy chop themselves.
Nice.
All right. Will do. That is a 17 to hit.
That one hits.
And then I gotta look up sword's property. Okay. So that is. Where'd my damn D8 go? There it is. So that is 9 slashing damage.
Yep.
And 8 radiant.
Nice.
Quick question too, just because I know this is the first one. Did you include your sneak attack damage too on that one?
Oh, I did not.
Okay.
Yep, that will be
So-
sneak attack.
6 more for the sneak.
Nice. Yeah, no, these land solid strikes. You can see the radiant damage sinks into it, and almost like a depth charge detonates slightly, and deals a bit more damage than you would have expected. From the attacks, though, as you lash out, Arvyn, from the 2 attacks, there's slight splashes of this corrupted water that lands upon your face, and you can feel it sizzle and burn into you. You take 3 points of cold damage, as it's literally so cold, it's burning. It's that cold. It's what's it called? Absolute zero, essentially,
Oh,
is what it feels like.
oh.
Feels like it's just burning and like freezing your flesh. on
And I'm
contact.
wet too, man. Like, ow.
Yep.
Frostburn? Frostbite?
Rasma, you take 2 points of cold damage from your own slash.
Oh, okay.
And then you're up. Your turn.
All
What
right.
should you do? You get the idea that melee attacks are damaging. Well, damaging to yourself.
Yeah, that is not a good thing, but I got a way to work around that.
This thing though is barely holding itself together.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's looking bad. That depth charge of radiant energy really struck a blow.
Well, then I'll just go ahead and give him another shank with it.
Go ahead. Roll to attack.
That is a 25 to hit.
That hits. Yep. Roll damage. And I believe you would have sneak attack.
Yeah, because it's a new round.
A new turn. I believe it's once a turn. Once a round.
Yeah, once a turn.
Just double checking from myself. Once per turn, yeah. Sneak attack's back. How much damage?
It's like the McRib.
So-
It's back.
It's 4. Okay. And then there we go. All right, so we got 9 slashing,
Mm-hmm.
3 sneak,
Yep.
and 8 radiant.
Okay. As the strike lands and you see that kind of depth charge of radiant energy form within it once more, the elemental is just kind of blown apart from that depth charge. From your strike, you take 4 points of cold damage. And then you, Rasma, and Dirk take an additional 5 points of cold damage from the kind of explosion of this creature as it's kind of just torn apart and scattered, its corrupted water splashing against you. Well, technically the captain does as well, but he's still standing from that. He takes the same amount of damage. You can see it kind of land upon him, his own fur begin to sizzle and burn away, even as he continues to sing. Yeah, even as he continues to sing.
I can deflect energy with the body of the astral self. I just realized I had that, so I could take a D10 plus 3 less damage. Okay.
Alright, in that case, you center yourself this astral Rakasha. I can never say the name. It darts forward and just takes the water onto itself, and you feel the sting psychically, spiritually, but there's no actual damage done, so you're fine. Rasma, still your turn. Do you wish to do anything else?
It is still my turn, so I will go ahead and move.
There is a dying crewmate on the floor, just for what it's worth.
Dying crewmate? Where?
The guy that was stunned. I don't have the token for them, unfortunately. Sorry, but it's right by the elemental. The guy who was crushed beneath its fist.
All right. Well, then I will take care of that.
I know what I'll do.
I'll reach down, and my hand will start turning like a ghastly ghouly white, and then I'll touch the guy and give him spare the dying. So he is at 0.
They're
stable.
over by the other elemental. Are you able to make it to them?
The other one.
Yep. I should be able to ping, if I remember correctly. Nope, I can't remember how I ping. Oh yeah. Although I don't know if you're still there. You might have to refresh again. God damn it.
Sorry, I'll refresh while I look up the range of spare the dying. I think it's touch. Yeah, it's touch.
It's touch.
I can't make it to him, but
It's your grave.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's all I am able to do.
Okay. End of your turn then.
Yep.
Deckmate makes their roll. They fail the death save. You see them spit out a bit more blood. The kind of corruption upon their flesh kind of spreading. You can see that the skin is kind of becoming extremely frostbitten, and it's kind of spreading down their bodies, along with the kind of some of their flesh falling into necrosis. Then it's the captain's turn, and he continues his song essentially. All of you, for your next round, you gain a +1 to your AC.
Oh.
As you can feel the song shifts in celestial. Though you can't pick out exact words, you feel it kind of center more on protection, standing firm and strong in the face of danger. Some of the other deckmates pull out crossbows and the like, and bring them to bear on the elemental and loose their own shots. If I find a d20, right, 2 of them go wide, as does the 3rd. The 4th and 5th, however, you see as these deckmates seem more practiced, and they seem to be waiting on like the song of the captain, and when his voice picks up, they lose their shots, and they seem to be enveloped for a moment in like a celestial divine glow, and they strike true onto the elemental for 2 critical hits, dealing 8 plus 15, 2, 17, and 29, 31 points of damage total to the elemental. So
I'll take it.
Okay. You're not alone in the fight. There is an entire crew fighting alongside you after all. And yeah, end of their turn, top of the round. Sidrius, you're up.
So sorry, Dirk, you have the movement. Artist doesn't. Arvyn doesn't. So Sid's gonna use 30 feet of movement to move next to it. He's going to take 2 swipes at the water elemental with his maul. So on the first attack, it is a 27 to hit. I'm going to assume that's a hit. I'm just going to roll it. And a critical hit.
Nice.
So critical,
damage.
yeah. So the first is 13 points of magical bludgeoning.
Nice.
And the second, 27 points of magical bludgeoning damage.
Point to 40 points. Nice. You veer back and you land a solid hit on this creature. Almost taking the 2 bolts that hit, using them as guidance. You veer back and you slam your mace into the body of the creature and down into the center of it, almost splitting it in 2 for a moment around your mace. You do get the splashback on both hits for a total of 3 points of cold damage to yourself. But you see this creature rear back, and it's only its amorphous form that stops it tumbling overboard, essentially, as it struggles and fights to reform itself. You've got a couple of good solid hits on it then.
And so it's still alive, correct?
It's still standing, but injured.
In that case, the bonus action will have Beowulf move to about here. And then Beowulf, with the item in his tail, he's going to point it towards Arvyn, and it's going to shoot at Arvyn, and it's going to hit Arvyn, and Arvyn is going to teleport to the side of the water elemental. So
Alright.
right like there.
Whoa.
Nice.
Put me right.
Arvyn, I imagine you're familiar with this from fighting alongside each other, so you're suddenly wrenched through time and space to be beside the elemental. And
Yeah, that is a good point. Arvyn, you can roll a saving throw to resist the effects
Nope.
if you really want.
Dude,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm not very mobile. I'll take any help I can get.
So that's Sid's turn.
I will happily take it.
Alright. Anything else? Oh, that would be your bonus action to command the Still Defender.
Yes, yeah.
And Still's Defender's turn. So, Dirk, you're up.
I will. Here.
Hopefully it moves you. If not, I can move you. Do you want me to move you across? I think you're on the
Yeah,
ruler.
like 10 feet away from the elemental.
Yeah. With a monk speed, you can easily reach it. I'm not even going to check the distances.
So
You're a goddamn
55
monk.
feet right there.
Yep.
And I'm going to attempt to. No, if I knock it 5 feet back, it still won't. It'll still be on the boat, right?
It'd be barely on the boat.
Yeah, barely. All right.
Yeah.
No, let's just attack it.
All right, go ahead.
So
Auto
I will
attack.
flurry of blows on. There's the first
Yep.
one.
Let's do strikes. And
We got a 19, 22, and a
Hits.
20. Dirty
hits,
20.
all 3 hits. Roll damage. There is the splashback of the corrupted water, but it lands on your astral self instead. You feel the kind of spiritual sting of it, but you take no damage because you're out of range.
Ooh, max damage on 1, so 15. That's 9, and then I get extra damage dice every turn from my damage from my astral self. So that last one was 17.
God
It's,
damn.
you strike hard and fast at it, and it is barely holding itself together. Although that bosun isn't dead, I just put the signifier on so you know which one is actually unconscious. But yeah, this thing rears back, the corrupted water sprays out, and as it stings at your astral self, not yourself, but it's still there, and it's barely holding itself together at this point as the storm continues to rage overhead, and it is now its turn. Yeah, seeing itself in a bad situation, it's going to. What did it do? Yeah, it's going to rush forwards into Sidrius's space. And Sidrius, I need a strength saving throw, as you're kind of captured into its body immediately.
Awesome. Let me roll that. 24.
Nice.
Because I'm including the R of protection from
Easy.
Arvyn.
You managed to fight it back, and for a second you're stuck in drowning in this dark water. And you swear you hear insidious like whispers in your mind of this other place, other realm, even before you tear yourself free. You still do take 17 points of cold damage, however, your flesh falling into necrosis where this water did temporarily touch you.
Ooh, spicy.
You said
Then rears
17?
back.
17 points?
17.
Oh,
17 total cold. It then rears back and lashes out with 2 fists towards you, Dirk. in this near-dead state. It's almost berserking. At this
It's
point.
attacking Dirk.
Dirk. Yep.
I'm going to use the Sentinel feat to take the attack of opportunity against it.
Go ahead. It will still get its first attack off.
Yeah, I'll go let you roll that.
Yep. That is 16
You have the +1.
You have a +1 to your AC, so it's 23 to hit.
Yep.
You take slam is 2d8 plus 2d12 plus 4. You take a total of 6, 12, 18, 25, 29 points of damage. A mix of cold and bludgeoning as it just slams its fist into you, this water welling up past your astral self to burn at your flesh with how cold it is.
How much of that is cold damage?
Cold is 12 points of damage. Everything else is
so
magical bludgeoning.
I take 10 points less of cold damage.
Okay, so total you took
19.
6. What would it have been? It would have been total 6, 12, 18, 25, 29. Yeah, 19. Yeah. As your astral self kind of interferes, I assume. Its form. End of its turn.
Then that'll be a
Storm.
20 to hit.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. That hits. You do take 2 points of damage, but I don't even need you to roll damage. It was on 1 hit point.
Okay.
You take this opportunity, you slam your mace into it, and there's almost like a concussive blast as your arcanely infused weapon slams in, and it explodes out. So you take 2 points of cold damage from your attack. You then take a further 3, as 2 does Arvyn, as 2 does Dirk, and the pirate on the ground fails their second death saving throw as the water splashes upon them. Right, end of their turn, because they're now dead. The storm still raging overhead. The lightning kind of gathers once more and crashes down, this time onto Rasmus. That's a dexterity saving throw, please, at advantage.
Yes. 22.
22. The lightning halts at the barrier once more before piercing through, the kind of this protective song doing its job again. You do take, however, 9 points of lightning damage rounded down to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 points. 4 points of lightning damage as it does just graze against you, and you kind of smell that kind of static on the air once more as the storm continues to rage, as to do the opposing songs. You're journeying through the storm, but you're still in the midst of it. Arvyn, what do you wish to do?
Elemental's gone, already splashed out, yeah?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go over to the deckhand and hit him with a little lay on hands for... I'll give him 5 hit points. Probably don't have that many to begin with, so that's probably a lot.
Okay. You watch then as, even though they are still seriously injured, the necrosis of their flesh still present, and their ribcage still somewhat crushed and broken. They give a gurgling, wet gasp as life is breathed into them once more, and their eyes snap open to stare up at you. Although they do not speak because their throat seems to be somewhat crushed. It was a heavy strike that was landed upon them.
And then I'm just seeing that he's alive. I'm just going to kind of look off into the storm and give like a primal scream. And that'll be my turn.
Make me an intimidation check. Just for the hell of it.
Cool. I was like, all right. One of the things I am proficient in. Yo, paladins don't get shit for skill. Oh, god damn it. It's going to be an 11.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you gave it your
Uh,
best try. I got you.
Rasma, you're up.
All right. Let's see here. Um, hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to cast a Cure Wounds on myself.
Okay.
It's 16. So I'm fully healed up now. And now that I'm healed, I'm going to walk around and get close to other people that need healing.
Okay. Makes sense. End of your turn. Okay, yes. So you hear a cry go up amongst the crew that's still standing. One of them does rush over to the fallen comrade and kind of starts to drag them down below deck to safety, or into one of the doors, so under cover, essentially. The others start to rush around, and you can see some of them grabbing like flints, or what look like flints off of the side of the deck, and like kind of striking them. And rather than normal sparks coming out, it's like a purplish sparks come out and land on certain points of the deck, and you start to see burning lines of arcane sigils start to reach out and burn up towards the sails, essentially. And you all feel a jolt as speed is increased almost, and the ship seems to be carried forward more now. Those of you that are near the side can glance down, and in this moment of freedom from the fight, the crew has seemed to trigger another protection on the ship, and you can almost see like a barrier serving to push apart the sea in front of them. So we're kind of casting the waves to either side to ease the journey just a little bit more, and you're picking up speed, trying to pass through this point of danger a little bit quicker. The captain continues to sing and is focusing more on the defensive. So, okay, end of his turn. You see off to the port, so the left of the ship. Yeah, left of the ship. You see the sea kind of buckle and rise up once more. A hand of another elemental reaching out to try and grab on, and as the reverberations of your scream of intimidation continue to ring out with that check from the elemental, you see it resonates with the song of the captain, and you see this elemental's hand slam into a barrier and kind of disperse, unable to grab a hold of the vessel in this one moment as the ship lurches past it. And so for that round, that elemental at least, you get to safety. Sidrius, what do you wish to do? Any preparations you want to make? And you mute it.
Sid, not knowing where the next one might come, him and the still defender will move to the center of the ship again. That's how actually move right now. But that's it.
Okay, sounds good. As you get there and you ready yourself for any other elementals that arise, you can continue to hear this song building on both the captain and this unseen enemy's parts. Okay, end of your turn. Dirk, any preparations you make?
No, just make sure I'm still nice and tied off to the ship. Check my
Okay.
my leg.
Sounds good. Arvyn.
I guess like Sid and the Steel Defender, not very mobile, so I'm just gonna kind of slide just to the general middle of the ship so I can move anywhere I'd need to, and that's gonna be it.
Okay. End of your turn. You see the ocean behind you once more rise up. That same elemental seems to have like pushed itself forward as best it can, rise up, trying to grasp at the bow I think the powers the back of the boat, tries to reach out and grasp, but it's too far away to do so. Instead, it rears back and almost howls, and each of you need to make me an intelligence saving throw.
Oh no.
As over the song, you hear this cry pierce into your head.
All right, hold on real quick. Everybody who's within 10 feet of me. So that looks like...
Me.
Yeah. Everybody except Rasma gets a +2 on that save.
This was a wisdom saving throw?
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Okay.
Yee!
Well, hopefully
Oh,
I have this in the
shit.
bag.
I rolled a 20, so I got a 28 on that one.
Nice.
Oh, fuck, man.
Very intellectual.
I got a 20 as well.
Nice.
I got a 14.
Okay.
I would just like to start by saying Arvyn didn't go to like proper schooling. He spent a lot of time in the Feywild, all right? So my man is not book smart, and he got a 5.
Yep. Okay. Arvyn, Rasma, you take 19 points of psychic damage
Ouch.
as a strike pierces into your head.
Oh.
You're both granted visions of the abyss, the abyssal realm itself, of this place where demons and unseen creatures writhe and reside. You get visions of a tear, something piercing through into the material plane, and this entity, whatever it is trying to reach out and pull itself through in this moment also. It can't do so by itself, but you get the idea that your souls will be perfect sacrifices to empower itself to do so. Hence why it's all the more important you get out of here as soon as possible. For the other two of you, you take 10 points of psychic damage as this cry rings out. And those of you that are able to see into the doorway where the injured crewmate was taken, you see their eyes roll back. You see them just go completely white from how far they do. You see the red veins, and you see them gasp and gurgle and fall back unconscious.
I'll put a spare the dying on them, I guess.
The elemental collapses down back into the water, and the storm overhead writhes and roils once more, crackling energy, forming a foul taste on the air as 2 lightning bolts now slam down. One towards Arvyn, the second towards Arvyn as well. Sorry, I'm rolling to
That's
randomly
fine.
determine.
He has the most metal on it.
Yeah,
Plus, I'm
I don't even have
I'm
armor
screaming at the storm too. So part of me's asking for this as well.
Just
Yeah, that's fair.
pulling the lieutenant down on the
2
ship.
dexterity
Strike
saving
me
throws
down, you
at
damn
advantage for
storm.
both. 'cause
Okay. All
the
right.
captain is still singing and was not killed.
Okay. So, all right. 15 for one, and
Half damage.
and 24 for the other. So,
Right, you pass on both. You manage to jolt out of the way the first and just like throw yourself to the deck essentially for the second. Each just slightly skim you, but they were slowed down enough by the protection from the captain to get out fine. On the first, you take 12, half down to 6.
Okay.
The second, you take 19, half down to 9. As these 2 bolts like skim by you. Where they strike, you notice they don't just burn with electricity, but again, you can get that sense of necrosis from your body where they strike. This is something completely unnatural, essentially. End of that. Rasma, do you do anything?
Yeah. Let's see here. Just double check my spells. All right. I'm going to see if this works. Where is the guy that just got down? He's in the doorway, right?
They're just in the doorway beneath where the wheel is.
All right.
So they're not far from you at all. You just have to hop down the stairs essentially, and you're there.
All right, I'll hop down there and put a spare the dying on him.
Okay. You do so, and the breathing settles a little bit, but they're still unconscious.
All right.
Anything else?
Then I'll hide.
Yep. Go ahead. Make a stealth check.
That's going to be a pretty solid stealth check. I know already. 32.
Nice. All right. After you, it's the crew. They rolled very well. All right. In that case, the crew continue to run about. You see them continue to basically trigger these arcane protections that have been imbued upon the ship. And you feel, again, another kind of lurch of speed, unnatural speed. Though you do get the sense of a burning from the sails at this point, as it seems the sigils are actually burning into the fabric. End of their turn, the captain goes... Song of Expediency instead. You hear his song switches almost from one of defense and protection to speed, evasion, and safety, essentially. And again, you feel another kind of jolt of speed. And for those who are tuned to other planes bar the material, you almost feel like a folding of space for a moment. And then you kind of, between 1 second and the next, the ship kind of almost is catapulted out of the storm, and the clouds above you slowly start to fade back to dark, but not storming. As you escape the storm. And slowly it begins to fade into the background behind you. Almost immediately, the captain just almost slumps into unconsciousness. You can see blood dripping from his nose and his eyes as he's just laid there against the wheel, panting as the ship continues to sail forward. You see...
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
It's fine. The drow who fetched the of you above deck and who you, Arvyn, saw being addressed as like second in command before, steps forward and has a quiet talk with the captain before assuming his place as he slowly pushes himself to his feet and limps towards the four of you. Well, this was fun. Are you all holding up?
The important thing is that we got through the storm. We should tend to our wounds while we can.
Yes, that's best to do so. That was worse than what I experienced previously. I'm going to go check on my member of crew who almost died. You'll rest up. And he kind of staggers, almost collapsing face first a couple of times over towards where the individual that you spared the dying on, Rasma. And he's going to shoot you away slightly and take care of that individual.
Oh,
As Oh, God.
Oh, I was just going to put a mass heal wounds out there. Everybody on deck can heal 4d8 plus 4.
Okay. There's no need to roll it now.
Okay.
Because that's that. You watch the individual jolts awake from unconsciousness, and the captain looks over his shoulder at you, Rasma, in complete gratitude before going back to tending to this individual that almost died. The four of you are left alone by the rest of the crew for a while. Let's kind of lick at your wounds a bit. Those of you that did take signs of necrosis onto your body, they begin to recede as the day goes on. And indeed, when you sleep, after all of this, you end up sleeping for, well, through the night, through the next day, and then the next night. But when you wake, your body has kind of rejected this corruption, and you are completely fine and have undergone a long rest.
Hey.
I think all of you at some point took some form of corruption, if I remember correctly. So this happens to all of you. You do wake, though, to the captain stood above you. Well, not stood above you, actually sat off to one side watching over you all, smoking a pipe as he sits there. And as you're awake, he sighs a heavy relief. Well, good to see you back with us. How you doing? You feeling better?
My head hurts.
Oh yeah, I feel stiff. I need a beer. I need a nail.
Well, there might not be quite time to drink. You awoke with good timing, my friends. Come. He reaches off to the side and you watch as he grabs a cane and slowly pushes himself to his feet, looking extremely weak, and limps up to the top deck.
Sid follows and will question, like, I thought we were, because Kai, Sid doesn't know he's been asleep for 3 days. He'll say, I thought you said it'd take 3 to 4 days to get to our destination.
Well, we did rental evening on the end of the first. You slept through yesterday, so this is day number 3. Congratulations, you've time traveled to your own perspective. Enjoy it.
That explains the stiffness.
Yeah. And he's looking very weak, by the way, as he limps up the stairs, and he turns back to you all and decided not to delay after whatever the hell that was, so pushed the array as hard as I could. Took a bit of a sacrifice on my part, but better safe than sorry, no? He leads you up onto the deck and out onto the prow, I believe it is, the front of the ship. I mix up my terminology in my head. Leads you out, and kind of weakly and limply, but with a bit of extravagance, gestures before you, and behold, the skies. And breaking through the sea mist and the fog of the morning, you see a place that looks almost like a desolate shanty town, essentially. You see looks like it's the remnant of what might have once been a proud shipping and port city. Now, though, however, it is just a mangled collection of carcasses of houses that lean against each other in a ramshackle manner, holding themselves aloft more than any form of structure and stability. It looks languid, broken, and almost like it's wanting the peace to collapse and give in. You can see, even from this distance, splintered timbers hang out over the water's edge like grasping fingers, and broken limbs, some of them even disappearing down into the waters. You can see even some of the pathways and walkways of the city collapse into the water itself. Some homes are half submerged, even almost like this city is being slowly and tortuously dragged down into the depths of the ocean. The waters here, even though you're nearing the shore, are no means clear or still. They are just black with grime and silt and muck and dirt. And you can see just drifting pieces of wood and rope, and occasionally even wooden eating utensils, child's dolls, all sorts just drifting in this water. As it seems this city is just slowly collapsing in on itself into ruination and destruction. You heard from Lycian that this was a place of misery and despair, and you could think of no better place that would fit such a description in physicality, let alone what the populace might be experiencing. You can see gaping holes in some of the buildings as you draw ever closer, where just walls have given away entirely to the rot of the water. With another smirk, the one of almost sadness, the captain looks back at you all. Welcome to the home of misery and despair on this section of the coast. As I said, behold the skies and welcome to its dubious embrace. And on that line, as through the mist, a broken lighthouse illuminates your passage into a rundown harbour. Its flame, a flickering and anemic thing, barely breaking through any gloom that still remains from the night before. And you realise how dour a place you've appeared. We're going to bring this first session of what lurks beneath to a close. What lurks below, rather, to a close.
Yes.
As you all arrive at the stars.
Wait, I don't like this place already.
I'm into it. Like, hey, it's kind of depressing and down. Like, as long as they're playing like The Cure or like The Smiths, I'll be like, hey man, this place ain't that bad. Maybe we should think about saving these people. Maybe they're happy being miserable.
Yeah, maybe they are.
Is that Robert Smith I hear? These people are fine. These people are fine. Leave them alone.
Is that Morrissey?
The one good Smiths
Yes,
album.
that was the first session of what lurks below.
That was awesome.
A bit more dramatic than I planned, but the dice spoke, so I followed the dice.
Hey, that was awesome. So, Sam, thank you. Next week we will turn this all over to Sam for hosting duties. Just getting out of habit. You saw everybody just absolutely play, new characters, me included. This is the reason why I want to do this game, is to play with these guys who I don't get to play with very often. So to everybody involved, thank you. We'll do a quick round of everybody plugging themselves, and then we'll do a little quick channel business, and we will get out of here. Let us start by giving everybody, giving it up for Sam. That was absolutely awesome. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get out of here.
Yeah. Well, not much to tell, really. So Sam or Caldrin or whatever, I suppose. Just someone who's a psychology student who has a very dark mind, and so can pull up some weird things from the depth of my imagination when I plan out stuff like this. Other than being found here next week, I'm not really found anywhere else on the internet. I kind of stay off social media as I can, because I don't want to touch all that. But yeah, there's not much else to tell other than I'll be here next week to continue with episode 2.
Awesome. Nice. Let us slide over to our Leonid, who, like most cats, not the fondest of waters. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Nick. I'm a chef from Northern California, and I have a great wife and a little dog and some cats. And all my clothes have hair on them all the time, and it's great.
Awesome. All right, big facts. Let us slide over to the second go around as a lizard folk. Yeah, at least.
Yeah, number 2.
All right. Tenta, tell us about yourself, buddy.
On Tenta, I play the lizard folk, which is what I do. And I'm 39. I'm married. I have 2 cat children. I live in Oklahoma because it's cheap out here. And I work at a grocery store and love metal and video games and fighting, pro wrestling. Hit me up on my social media at RipTentaSqueeze on Twitter if you want to talk about any of those things.
Awesome. My guy. Last but not least, kind of our recently technical advisor going forward into 2023 for his use of Foundry as well as other TPRG systems. Landon, tell us a little about yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I'm Landon Baker. I am a software developer. I have a wife, and I have 2 St. Bernards, which is the main influence of why I like the Battlesmith Still Defender. I love playing games with these guys. I look forward to it every Tuesday, and I appreciate you all letting me be part of this group. So yeah, I look forward to it next week.
Glad to have you, buddy. All right, so that's been our very first exciting episode of What Lurks Below. Again, Sam, thank you so much for this. To my guys, it was great actually like playing with you. This was kind of fucking cool. It's weird. I had a great time. So
awesome.
that's going to be it for us tonight. You can catch us tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time here on the channel as we continue with Dynasty of Dragons. And then also be on the lookout for our brand new show, episode 2 this week, Legacy of Blood, here on the channel Friday nights at 10 p.m. Very exciting little mini series there. That's going to do it for us tonight. To everybody who watched, thank you very much. To my good friend Daryl for the little mini raid. Appreciate it. Players, you guys are great. Feel cool being on the side, and of course to our hero Sam tonight for coming in and doing this for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And that's going to do it for us. We'll see everybody tomorrow night, Friday night, or hopefully back here next week on Tuesday night for another exciting show of What Lurks Below. Always remember, I like Dungeons and Dragons and the people who play it. Good night, everybody. We out.
Yep.